Sandra all the time is here with a cold heart true. She's the ears and the eyes for me and you. Every day, everyone want to hear from Sandra. And every time on the air, she's getting better. Tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your mama. Call Sandra in the morning and in the evening. They always calling Sandra. And when they start fighting, they calling Sandra.
That's right, folks. Everyone is telling their mama about the cold hard truth. Welcome to another episode with more truth-telling, more problem-solving, and of course, more tea spilling than ever before. Sit back, students, grab your tea and turn up the volume because class is now in session. Call in at 936-2626 because your voice matters. Share your opinion on issues that matter the most to you.
These are your morning headlines for Cayman Marl Road on Wednesday, December 18th.
The Cayman Islands swimming sensation Jordan Crooks received a hero's welcome today as he returned home after his remarkable performance at Budapest's 2024 World Aquatics Championships this weekend. During Monday's parliamentary session, Sports Minister Isaac Rankine announced that Crooks and fellow swimmers Gillian Crooks and Kira Rabes will arrive at Owen Roberts International Tuesday afternoon. The swimmers were all greeted by a large contingent of supporters at the airport, including the Sports Minister, Deputy Premier and Acting Governor Mr. Frans Manderson. Family, friends and numerous well-wishers celebrated the recent gold medal performance of Crooks, who was able to set 2 new world records in one day. The 22-year-old athlete made history over the weekend by defending his 50-meter freestyle world title and shattering 2 world records. In the preliminary heats, Crooks broke Caleb Dressel's 2020 record with a time of 20.08 before achieving an unprecedented feat in the semifinals by becoming the first person to break the 20-second barrier, posting a remarkable time of 19.90. His sister, Gillian Crooks, also performed well, setting a new personal best.
The long-shuttered Royal Palms Beach Club's application to redevelop faces significant environmental hurdles as new details emerge about mandatory environmental conditions ahead of the Central Planning Authority, CPA, meeting on December 18, 2024. Handel Whitaker, who has entered into an agreement with DART to operate the West Bay Road venue, is seeking approval for renovations, including a new covered bar and dining area, service hut, seawall, and timber deck. Following an October 3rd review under the National Conservation Act, the Department of Environment, DOE, has issued specific directives that must be included in any planning approval. These include removing the proposed timber deck seaward of the existing wall and eliminating a planned rock revetment, citing unacceptable risk of adverse impacts to the marine protected area. A key point of contention is the project's request for a coastal setback variance. The development would place structures just 33 feet from the mean high water mark, significantly less than the 130-foot setback required in hotel tourism zones. The DOE's mandatory conditions also require all construction materials to be stockpiled at least 75 feet from the mean high water mark, and implementation of strict controls on polystyrene materials during construction, including screens and vacuuming systems to prevent debris from polluting the adjacent marine protected area.
As investigations continue into the recent fire at the Bodden Town Civic Center, BTCC, the Customs and Border Control Service, CBC, has confirmed that migrants who were housed at the BTCC have been safely relocated to the Breakers Civic Center on a temporary basis. In support of and further to the role of CBC regarding matters of security and welfare, personnel from His Majesty Cayman Islands Prison Service, HMCIPS, are overseeing shift operations and providing on-scene support at the Civic Center. CBC expressed thanks to several partners within the Cayman Islands government, CIG, who have played and continue to play a role in assisting with migrant-related matters, including the recent fire event that took place on Saturday, 14th December 2024.
Palmorgan Paulraj, a bartender accused of raping a 24-year-old woman while she was out celebrating her birthday, was granted bail when he appeared in Grand Court on Tuesday, December 17th. Paulraj was bailed with strict conditions, including a curfew from 11:30 p.m. to 10 a.m. He is also to be fitted with an electronic monitoring device. He was also ordered to surrender his passport and was bailed with a surety of $5,000. He was also ordered not to have any contact with any prosecution witnesses. During the bail hearing before Justice Cheryl Richards, the Crown indicated that while it did not oppose bail, there were concerns about Paulraj working in a bar over the Christmas period, especially late at night. There were suggestions he worked during the day. However, his place of employment opens in the evening. The incident reportedly occurred during a birthday celebration involving two women, one visiting from the United Kingdom. The prosecution presented evidence that the women's evening began at home before visiting several establishments, including the bar where they first encountered the defendant. The prosecution alleges that after offering complimentary drinks at his workplace, Paulraj later appeared at another location around 11 p.m. where the group played pool before proceeding to 7 Mile Lounge. The complainant reported experiencing disorientation, which she attributed to either alcohol consumption or a drink provided by the defendant. The court is awaiting a toxicology report. She was allegedly sexually assaulted in the defendant's car. The prosecution presented evidence of injuries documented by police, including bruising to the complainant's face, chest, and thighs. Paulraj, who has lived in the Cayman Islands for 7 years and holds a work permit valid until 2026, has denied the allegations and provided a contrasting version of events. A 58-year-old Filipino national passed away Monday morning after collapsing while cycling to work on Marina Drive, Prospect. Emergency services responded to calls reporting an unresponsive man shortly before 8 a.m. on December 16th. When police arrived at the scene, CPR was already being administered to the victim. He was subsequently transported to Georgetown Hospital, where he was pronounced deceased by medical staff. The man, who worked as an upholsterer at the marina, was cycling with a group of co-workers when the incident occurred. He was a resident of the Cayman Islands.
Renowned Jamaican journalist Barbara Gale, celebrated for her 4 decades of distinguished court reporting, was found murdered at her home in Caymanas Estate, St. Catherine, Jamaica, on Tuesday morning. Police have confirmed that her vehicle was stolen during the incident, and investigations are currently underway. Gale, widely regarded as Jamaica's preeminent court reporter, had recently been honored by the Press Association of Jamaica in recognition of her exceptional career with the Gleaner newspaper. Throughout her tenure, she established herself as a leading voice in judicial reporting, covering landmark cases across all levels of Jamaica's court system. Her column Legal Wranglings earned critical acclaim and multiple accolades, including the prestigious Journalist of the Year award in 1997. Colleagues praised her meticulous attention to detail and unwavering commitment to transparency in judicial reporting. Her work is said to have helped countless Jamaicans understand complex legal proceedings and upheld the principles of transparency in our justice system. The loss of Gale represents a significant blow to Jamaica's journalism community. Her career was marked by an unwavering dedication to professional integrity and a deep commitment to public service through journalism.
The Royal Cayman Islands Police Service, RCIPS, kicked off its annual holiday safety initiative, Operation Winter Guardian, on Monday amid growing concerns over road fatalities and seasonal crime risks. The operation, which launched December 16th, comes at a critical time as the islands have recorded 12 road fatalities this year, with 2 fatal collisions occurring just last week. Police Commissioner Kurt Walton emphasized the urgency of the situation, noting that the holiday season traditionally brings increased social and commercial activity to the islands. The operation will feature intensified road enforcement operations, including increased speeding enforcement and traffic checkpoints throughout the day and night. Police identified speeding, driving under the influence, and distracted driving as the primary causes of collisions and traffic fatalities. In partnership with the National Drug Council's Arrive Alive 345 campaign, several initiatives are being implemented to combat drunk driving. These include a designated driver program offering free soft drinks at participating restaurants and a free Purple Ribbon bus service operating on New Year's Eve from 9:01 p.m. to 4:00 a.m. across Grand Cayman and Cayman Brac.
35 Caymanians are embarking on new career paths in the health and beauty industry following their graduation from the Cayman Career Academy, CCA. The graduates, all sponsored by the Workforce Opportunities and Residency Cayman, WRC, received their certificates at a ceremony held at the Grand Cayman Marriott Resort on December 5th. The program, which ran from January to October 2024, saw students earning internationally recognized qualifications from Cedesco and Eduqual. The comprehensive training covered a diverse range of specializations, including barbering, manual facial treatments, massage therapy, nail care, professional geriatric care, and specialized waxing services. 3 standout students demonstrated exceptional dedication by earning multiple certifications, bringing the total number of qualifications awarded to 38. 4 Caymanians interested in similar training opportunities. Works National Training and Development Unit can be contacted at 244-4053 or work.training@gov.ky. Additional information is available on the agency's website and social media platforms.
Big congrats to Romario McLaughlin, who was awarded 2024 Employee of the Years for Back of House at Kimpton Seafire. You guys may remember that he graduated from the DART Hospitality Training Program back in 2022 as part of the original cohort. Special congrats from your wife and family.
And that's Cayman's news for this morning. These news headlines and more can be found on our website and social media channels. And now, here's a holiday message from the Deputy Premier and Minister of Tourism and Transport, the Honorable Kenneth Bryan.
Dear friends, as the Christmas season surrounds us with lights, warmth, and festive cheer, I find myself reflecting on the year that has passed. For many of us, it has been a year marked with trials and tribulations, worries and concerns. Some have faced loss of loved ones, others challenges with illnesses, and others uncertainty brought on by economic hardships. Even within government, we too have faced difficulties, differences of opinions, changes, and transformations. For me personally, as the Deputy Premier and the Minister for Tourism, Ports, Social Development, and Innovation, I've gained a deeper appreciation for the resilience and the strength of our people. And so as I speak to you today, not only as a member of government, but as a fellow Caymanian who understands the weight of things and the struggles that many of our people are going through. As I reflect on this year, there's still so much to be thankful for, particularly making it safely through another hurricane season and the ability to connect with people and things that truly matter, our history, our culture, and our faith. And so as we make Christmas preparations, I encourage you to not lose sight of the reason for the season, because Christmas is a time of hope, love, and the belief in Jesus Christ, who was born on Christmas Day. The story of the birth of Christ is one of faith and generosity in the face of adversity. It is with this message of hope that I encourage you to hold close within your hearts, even on days when the joy of the season may feel far away. As you gather with your family, friends, and loved ones, I ask you to remember those who may not have the comfort of companionship or the assurance of abundance. Try to be the source of light and inspiration for them, sharing what you can, whether it's just a kind word or a helping hand or even a warm meal. For it is when we embrace the spirit of giving, no matter how small, that we truly feel the joy of the festive season. I'd also like to take this opportunity to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the dedicated civil servants who work tirelessly to deliver essential services to our people. Your work is vital and your efforts have not gone on unnoticed. To each and every one of you, I say thank you so much for your hard work, your resilience, and your dedication to making the lives of those that we serve a lot better. And finally, on behalf of myself and my family, and all the staff within my ministries, I extend to you the warmest and the most very Merry Christmas ever. May your homes be filled with love, laughter, and togetherness, and may the new year bring peace, joy, and a renewed strength of hope and optimism to you all. May God bless you, your families, and our beloved 3 Cayman Islands.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. Or is it Wednesday? It's Wednesday. Oh my gosh. I'm way ahead of myself here. I woke up this morning feeling like it was Thursday. Well, Wednesday's good too. It's a beautiful Wednesday. Why not? We are now days before Christmas. The countdown has officially begun for December the 25th. I hope that you guys are getting all your Christmas beef sorted out and everything else that you need to do. Because guess what? You've only got 6 days, 16 hours, 8 minutes, and 44 seconds left. Honey child. And by then, or probably before then, the Christmas beef definitely needs to be in the oven. We're going to talk about it later on because somebody said to me, Sandy, you put Christmas beef in the oven? We do it on the stovetop. And I said, well, I don't know nothing about that because I'm going to tell you. EastEnders showed me how to do my Christmas beef, and she said, honey child, you put that thing in the oven. So then West Bay's telling me that they putting it on the stove top. So I'm not quite sure how that goes. But anyway, you guys can tell me how you do it. What's your secret? And then we can talk about it. Maybe we can sample some beef that's been cooked in different ways while we're at it. All right, listen, we've got an important topic up for grabs this morning. We're going to be talking about voter registration. So we have Mr. Wesley Howell, who's going to be joining us in the studio this morning. This is his first time joining us. So, of course, we want to give him a very, very, very warm CMR welcome this morning. So put all of your virtual hands together in applause for Mr. Wesley Howell. Good morning, Mr. Wesley.
Hey, good morning, Sandra. Good morning to your listening audience. Happy Wednesday, not Thursday.
Yes, happy Wednesday. Ahead of myself. Now, of course, he is going to be, I guess officially you are already, the supervisor of elections for the 2025 general election. So first of all, let's talk about how this transition happens, because we know that you are a civil servant. You are a chief officer in the ministry of, remind me of which ministry now?
Border control, labor, and culture.
Yes. And then you kind of transition over for election time and you actually become the supervisor of elections. So does that mean then that when that happens, you kind of don't do your regular duties as chief officer?
Totally happens. So the issuing of the writs sort of is symbolic and symbolizes my shift from chief officer to supervisor of elections. The returning officers actually get their documents that authorize them to go ahead and hold the elections within their electoral district. So back in the first week of December, that's when I transitioned across. So there's a acting chief officer over at the ministry that's dealing with all the ministry matters, and
Mhm.
fully focused and stationed and at the elections office until after the elections in April.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. So this is a full-time job, at least for a couple months.
It is for about 6 months of the political cycle, yes.
Yes, wonderful. All right. So that's good to know, because I kind of wondered how you balance. I'm thinking, are they making this poor guy work overtime?
Working overtime, but not for two
Not
entities,
for two
all with the
different
elections
roles.
office. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw, if our listeners have been paying attention, the beautiful thing about this program is we're always trying to educate people. So I know that they've been paying attention to a new news segment, which we announced. I think it might have been the first or the second. We announced that this symbolic, and not just symbolic, but literal process actually took place with the governor. And so that kicks off what we now recognize as the official election cycle. So folks, we're going to try to give you guys as much information as possible this morning about how the process will work. Naturally, how you can get registered to vote and what all of the respective deadlines are for you to get registered as well, because it's very, very important that you at least get registered. I know some people are a bit, pessimistic, but I tell them, listen, you can't do anything, my apologies, if you don't actually get registered to vote. So that's an important first step. And Mr. Wesley, here's the official ceremony that took place earlier in the month. And, it's imperative that you know how the process works, what you need to do to ensure that you do it accurately and you are able to participate in the process. So tell us a little bit about who these individuals are pictured here, Mr. West, in this photo.
So pictured in the photo are the 19 returning officers, so one for each electoral district. And we also have deputy returning officers, and we have 15 of those. The deputy returning officers serve the same roles as the returning officer. The returning officer is in charge of the election. The writ that is issued authorizes nominations to be held, and also election day. And then once that process is done, the writ is returned to the governor. So it's a formal process for issuing off. So to my left on the screen is Mr. Delno Solomon. He is our training officer. Mr. Delno was the returning officer when I served as deputy returning officer in what was then known as the West Bay Electoral District. He has been with us for over 40 years and a whole lifetime of experience there. To my right is the governor, deputy supervisor, Sheena Glasgow, and to her right is Mr. Ernest Scott, our deputy for the BRAC. And then in the back of us, looking really sharp, are all the returning officers and deputies.
Okay, so tell us a little bit, how does one become a returning officer? Are you selected from a list of individuals, or how does that work?
So we have a succession plan train that happens. So folks will join in sort of a polling role, either poll clerk or presiding officer, and then with experience they sort of move up through the cycles to get up to returning officer. The deputy returning officer bid is a good training ground as well, because they're able to conduct the vote simultaneously with the returning officer. They can issue postal ballots and conduct mobile voting and those sort of things. So we have a slew of matters there. We actually started training back in November for new returning officers and new deputy returning officers to get them up to speed, and the training sort of continues into next year as well.
Okay, all right. So a returning officer per district, per constituency, and there are 19 of those.
Yes.
And then do each one of those get an assistant, or there's fewer people who assist?
So the deputy returning officers are in all electoral districts except for East and North Side, Kimmerbrook East and Kimmerbrook West and Little Cayman, because their numbers are quite smaller.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the logic there.
Right. All right. And what is the role and function then? Let's start with yourself as, heading up the supervisor of elections. What exactly is your role? And then what's the role of these other persons that we see there as well?
So my role really is I'm responsible for the general election. Once the governor issues the proclamation
Mhm.
dissolving Parliament, which actually happens in 73 days. So we got another countdown. Not only Christmas countdown, we got
Yes.
another countdown going on. In 73 days, Parliament will be dissolved. That's the 1st of March.
Okay.
On the 3rd of March, we have nominations day. And then we're off to a very busy calendar. So by the 10th of March, we're actually issuing postal ballots. The first batch of postal ballots have to go out by the 10th of March
Mhm.
by law. And then into April, we have sort of mobile voting happening during the week before the general election, April 22nd through the 25th, and then general election on April 30th. So lots going on. The
Mhm.
returning officers will be busy training their staff. We start training in earnest in January 6th, and
Mhm.
we continue all the way up through to sort of first, second week of April. And then we're off to the races as it is for what is known as first past the post for us. So
Mhm.
speaking of deadlines, the in addition to the Christmas one, we have one fast approaching as well.
Mhm.
And the voter registration closes on the 15th of January, and that's 28 days and 15 hours away. So
Mhm.
another countdown on the way.
Yes. Yeah. So this is a big one. And I know you're pushing, of course, for people to be aware of this date and to ensure that if they want to participate in the election, or you know what, sometimes people might think that they don't want to, but get registered to vote anyway. There's no harm in getting registered to vote. We really want to encourage everyone, especially our young people who often talk about, you know, what does the future of this country look like for them? This is the first step. You participate by actually getting registered to vote. So this is extremely important. I get involved in the process. And we're going to talk about some more information in terms of, you know, how you can do that. And, you know, young people, you're underrepresented. So we're going to talk about some of that as well. So it's interesting that you say that basically Parliament gets prorogued on did you say the 1st of March?
Not prorogued, but dissolved. So
Dissolved.
prorogued is like a pause of Parliament, so it can meet again. Dissolved is Parliament's it's gone. Yeah.
It's done for that entire election cycle, basically.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right, very good. So it's good to know the distinction, folks, between these things. So, right, so that happens March the 1st, and then by the 3rd is nomination day, and
Yeah.
basically April the 30th, which would be right around the corner from that, is actually going to be the day that we all go to the polls and vote. So not a whole lot of time. I didn't realize it was such a short space between nomination day and actually election day.
Yeah, so by law we can't go less than 6 weeks. We also can't go more than 2 months. So we would have to have an election by the 1st of May.
Right.
That's our constitutional deadline.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. All right. So a few people asking for the links. Don't forget to follow us on WhatsApp, the channel. Send out the link there every single morning, and make sure that you know exactly where to find us. So yes, we are live and direct: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and of course Bobo 89.1 FM as well. If you have any questions, you can call in 936-2626, or feel free to send your questions. Don't forget, the number is now toll free for Flow customers, courtesy of Flow. Thank you so much for that, Flow. Number is toll free. And of course, you can also, you know, email us if you wish, or just send us a WhatsApp message if you have any questions about how this process will work. All right. So we got some deadlines. Jot those down. I'll remind you as we come closer to those as well. Of course, here on nomination day, we'll do exactly what we did in the last election cycle. We'll check in with all the different polling stations, 19 of those, and let you guys, you know, see who actually, because at this point, Wesley, we've got people who are candidates. We should say potential candidates, because technically you don't become a candidate, I think, until nomination day, which you go through
Yes.
that process. So tell us what actually happens on nomination day.
So nomination day, folks would submit their nomination form. So a candidate doesn't have to be a registered elector in the district that they're running in, but the nominators do, and you need two of those. They submit their form to the returning officer along with their $1,000 deposit. which you don't get back if you get less than 10% of the vote.
Mhm.
We then go away and check to ensure as best as we can that the individuals are qualified for or appear to be qualified to hold office, so they don't have sort of convictions for dishonesty, convictions in excess of 12 months, and the other issues that are set out, not a criteria that is set out in the Constitution. And then once that's done, on the Friday following the nomination, I have to announce the declaration of contested elections. Effectively, that's another sort of formality. If only one individual is nominated in the electoral district, there is no election in that electoral district. That person just becomes the
Mm.
representative. But if there is, then
Okay.
we do that, and then we're busy printing ballots that weekend, and ballots go out on the 10th, which would be the
Mhm.
following Monday. Yeah, so really busy.
Wow. Can I ask you if that has ever historically happened where there was only one person?
Not in my timeline, but definitely in our history, yes. Yes, I think in
Wow.
Town there was one uncontested that I know of. But Mr. Rupert McCoy was our historian. He's sadly no longer with us. He knew this stuff off at the top
Uh-huh.
of his mind for sure.
Huh. Wow, that's so amazing. Right. So normally we have more than enough, I must say. You
Yeah.
said not your time, and I think, wow. What's the record number? I don't know if you'll know this off the top of your head. I know it's been in the 60s, but do you know the record number of candidates that we've had run in any single election?
So I can remember a really long ballot paper of 30 odd people in West Bay when we had, 4 seats there. Georgetown got fairly heavy as well because when we had multi-member districts, Georgetown had 6 seats. And that ballot paper was quite extended as well, which made it more difficult to count because you had multiple names that you were calling and all that. But yeah,
Mhm.
now that we have single member electoral districts, I think that the most we've had is 5 running an electoral district.
Mm. Hmm. Wow, quite interesting. All right. So, folks, if you have any questions, I do see some questions coming in. We'll get those to Mr. Wesley here in just a second. So, just some important dates again that you need to be aware of. One question in relation to nomination day: has there ever been any thought of actually increasing that fee? I think it's been $1,000 forever, and it seems pretty. It seems pretty low. Any discussions? I know the government can always use a little bit more money, and given how many people enjoy running for public office, maybe it's time. I know this really isn't a question for you, but maybe the powers that be, since they're always looking for revenue sources, leave credit union alone and go after the candidates. Raise that to at
So
least $5,000.
So most people actually get their deposit back. So we can't all count it as revenue until after the election, because
Oh,
if they get more than 10% of the vote, then it's refunded. So it's
right.
only those persons, and that
Good point.
deposit is really designed to sort of weed out folks who aren't quite serious that would be wasting our times.
Yeah.
Some of the UK elections, they have Darth Vader running and Superman and all sorts of
Oh my
stuff.
gosh.
So people are making a mockery of the very serious process of our democracy. So it's designed to do that. Yeah, it could be higher because inflation has gone quite a whole lot since the sort of 30 plus years that I've been doing
Yeah.
it. It's always been the $1,000.
Absolutely. All right. So it's refundable if the person gets at least 10% of the votes. Anthony says East End has had many uncontested elections as well with John McLean Sr. Oh,
And I'm
yeah.
still going before him. Yes.
Yeah, he was in there for I think 20, close to 30 years or so. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, let's field some questions. Someone's asking about radio. I think we should be. I know that the link is broken online. Let me just double check and see. And unfortunately, the tech guy, he's off island until tomorrow. So I'm not quite sure. Oh no, somebody else said radio's good. All right. So we should be good. Radio's good. Thank you for the confirmation, Miss Andrea. All right, honey chow, Bobo 89.1 FM. That's where you catch us. All right. I figured if I didn't hear it on radio, there'd be lots of people. If you couldn't hear it, lots of people would be messaging. All right. So let's keep it moving. We have another question. Let me just see this. This person says, "Good morning, Miss Sandy. Season's greeting. Could you ask Mr. Howell if someone just got their status this year and already naturalized, can they vote / get registered to vote in July to be exact? Please keep me anonymous." So this is a very, very good question, because I think I've confirmed that my husband is actually eligible. Well, he got his status, I think, last year. But so he's eligible. So we need to get him out there and get him registered. So how does it work for status holders? So is there a certain amount of time that has to pass after you get your status? Does it matter how you get it? What makes you eligible to vote in those circumstances?
Yeah, so the Constitution says that you have to be Caymanian to be registered to vote. So I'll make the distinction that persons who are naturalized, persons who are PR holders, they may hold a Cayman passport, but if they hadn't been granted Cayman status or the right to be Caymanian, they can't register to vote. So we're unfortunately turning back a lot of folks who come in with a Cayman passport and the other document saying, "Here, I'm ready to go," but no, you actually aren't ready to go unless you've gone to right to be Caymanian. So you just have to have that before the close of registration on January 15th. So you could get it on January 14th or the morning of the 15th and come down with your document and register then and there. So that's happening in significant numbers. I hadn't gotten an account this week, but last week we had 445 new registrations pending. So we're actually the list that comes out on the 1st of January, which is not the list that's going to be used. The final list for the general election, that's going to be April 1st. That list has 23,829 voters on it, which is actually more than the 23,609 that we had during the 2021 general election. So there's been lots of interest in folks signing up for to vote. There's also the question as to whether or not we're going to have a referendum on those 3 topics. So people are registering in advance of that as well. I think the only group that isn't registering in their significant numbers are young people, sort of 18 to 24.
And we're going to talk about those here in just a second.
Yeah.
That they get out there and get registered to vote. So if you have any questions regarding your eligibility, the elections office will provide their contact details, but they can certainly help you figure it out. But again, if you don't have, and there is a ceremony that you go through. Does everybody go through that ceremony, Wesley, when they get status?
So the ceremony is for naturalization. So that's different. That's BOTC citizen. That's where you get your permanent residency then leads to naturalization. So the way that the status works is that if you go through the point system, you have to be in the country for 15 years before you can qualify for status once you're naturalized and had PR. If you go through marriage, then it's 7 years of marriage, and then you qualify for the right to be Caymanian. So those are the 2 ways. But yeah, there's no ceremony for right to be Caymanian, and folks who go through marriage don't get naturalized necessarily, so they don't have to do that route.
Okay. I'll come back to that. I have a question there. Morning, caller. How are you?
Good morning. I'm just checking to, wondering if Mr. Howell could give a clarification of what the right to be Caymanian and Cayman status. Is that the same thing?
Okay. Yes. Good question.
Yes.
Thank you, caller.
Yes, in law, it actually means the same thing. And, if you go back through the different renditions of the revisions of the immigration law, at one point, Cayman status didn't actually appear in it. All it said was the right to be Caymanian. So some folks getting acknowledged under that particular law come back saying, why do I have right to be Cayman instead of Caymanian? But there was no definition of it. So legally, under the Immigration Act, the term is right to be Caymanian, and we use Caymanian status sort of interchangeably. And interestingly enough, there is no definition of Caymanian in the Constitution. It refers back to the immigration law. So yeah, they're one and the same. Yeah.
Okay. So let me just clarify something you've said now, because I'm just thinking even about my husband, right? So if you go to the ceremony where the deputy governor, and I think on that occasion, he was off island, so it might have been Miss Gloria that stood in for him. But if you go to that ceremony, that's considered naturalization?
It is, absolutely. So you're being naturalized a British Overseas Territory citizen.
Okay.
And you don't necessarily have to go through that route to get to Cayman status if you're married to Caymanian. So persons who don't have an interest in a British or BOTC passport, for example, would stay on their RERC as the spouse of a Caymanian until they get to status, and they just go on to status without having to go through naturalization. So just two separate routes.
Wow, so interesting.
They would be entitled to it, but they wouldn't necessarily have to get it in order to become Caymanian. Point system, you have to get it though through the other PR system. Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. That's good to know. Yeah, it gets a little bit confusing there. And then those individuals can then go on and actually get the British passport as well, but that's a whole different process that's separate and apart.
Yeah, so you effectively apply for another citizenship. So when you apply for naturalization, you become a British Overseas Territory citizen with a connection to Cayman. And once you have that, you're then entitled to apply for British citizenship, which is full British citizenship in the UK, and then you award that. So most Caymanians say, I have a British passport, as opposed to I am also a British citizen, which is what that actually means. Yeah.
All right, wonderful. So some real education going on here this morning. Let me see. Someone says, I know of at least 2 occasions that Mr. McLean was unopposed as a candidate for East End. Shared this with Ms. Sandra. Mr. Howell doesn't seem to know anyone else in any other district unopposed in his tenure. How long have you been doing this role, Mr. Howell?
This will be my 3rd general election. So I've been in since 2015. So 2017, the single member electoral district was my foray into supervisor elections. So.
All right, nice. All right, so another question says, if there is a referendum, will there be multiple ballots or just one? That's a good question.
So I have proposed to the government that we do a single ballot that has the candidates on one part of it, and then the other part are what are now 3 questions. So we have 3 matters of national importance that have been voted on by the Parliament. We have the National Lottery, we have the decriminalization of small amounts of marijuana, and we have the cruise birthing. So they've all been approved. The first 2 were approved under Premier Panton back in December 2022, I believe. And the other one was recently approved, cruise birthing. So if the referendum act is passed before effectively March 3rd, then we can include those on a combined ballot, and then we go with that. So it's logistically it's the easiest. It's the most straightforward. A lot of countries have questions that they ask in addition to candidates when they go to the polls. Otherwise, we would be running effectively 2 elections, or a full election and a full referendum side by side, which other than the holiday, there are no logistical savings for that, and becomes a bit tedious for individuals when they have to go through 2 processes to vote, and potentially very disastrous for persons voting by post, because there are certain documents that come along with the ballot paper that you have to sign and verify that you are who you say you are. That has to come back with the right signature. So you can imagine if they had 2 separate ballots from 2 separate returning officers and cross those papers up, they would actually invalidate both of their votes. So having one single ballot paper, I think, is ideal for us.
Right. But if you have one single ballot paper and you decide not to vote in the referendum, how would that work? Does it invalidate if you're voting for a candidate? Okay.
No, really not. And also if you spoil the referendum part of it, or you spoil the election part of it, doesn't spoil the other part. They're counted separately. So
that's good to know. All right. So folks, this is your opportunity. If you have any questions at all, about the potential referendum, if that's going to happen, about the election process. 93626 is the telephone number, or you can send it via WhatsApp. We've received a few on the WhatsApp already. I'm going to check the other messages. Oh, yes, we do have some other ones coming in. So this person says, good morning. How are the votes tallied, by machine or by hand?
So we count by hand, and it's a very, I call it a very transparent process. So we open boxes. The mobile and postal ballots are mixed with one of the other boxes from the general election, and that was a change we made back in 2021. Because by law, we have to count each box on its own, including mobile and postal ballots. For Cayman Brac West and Little Cayman, we had exactly one ballot sent out by post in the 2021 general election, which means that that individual had no secrecy. And we also published the names of persons that we've sent postal ballots to, so that they can't show up and vote in person. So that sort of that transparency bit. So on the 11th hour, I did ask Cabinet at the time to make an amendment to the rules of the counting and have those ballots mixed. But we count manually. The ballots are removed one at a time from the box. It's actually shown to the persons in the room. The returning officer calls out the name, and then they use the tally sheet that we supply, and we go through. So once the box is settled and we agree on the number, that box is sealed up and we move on to the next box. If you want to recount, you have to do it while the box is still open. Once it's sealed, we're on to the next one. And if you're not happy with it at the end of it, then we have to go to court. We don't reopen at that point. But not in my time have we had any challenges in court, and recounts have only really been on boxes. And usually that's because someone who's had a really long day, really long week has fallen asleep or drifted off and didn't make the same tally as everybody else. It's a very straightforward process. 2021, we were done by 10:30, 11, counting all of the ballots. And so yeah, there's no computers in this at all. It's all, the only computers that we use are the website has hourly poll turnouts during the daytime. And in the evening, we track the number of votes by each box when that's completed and called in. But it moves very quickly, and not at 3-4 o'clock in the morning like we used to do. We're done long before midnight.
Yes. All right. Good question. Good question. Let me just see what else we've got coming in here. Right. Okay, good. Some excellent questions this morning. All right, we've got some in the chat. So Shaka says, can you ask Uncle West to speak a little bit on what folks overseas can do about registering to vote and subsequently voting from overseas? So there is in the Constitution, I guess, if you're overseas for a particular reason or time period, you are still eligible to vote. If a Caymanian has permanently moved overseas, so they've been living in, I don't know, Europe for the last 10 years, they're no longer eligible to vote. Is that correct?
If they're on the register of electors, they're eligible to vote. And some folks have successfully defended their right to do that. And so that's another process that happens. Well, I guess I take 2 minutes to answer that. The reason that the voter registration deadline is in January and not in April is because we have by law a very tedious, I call it, but a very detailed process of claims and objections. So we publish what's called a revised list. That list is then available for public viewing on our website and in public offices for, I believe it's 21 days. Then there's a period to submit claims and objections. Objections you're doing as a registered voter in that electoral district saying, I know this person is no longer in this district, so I object to them being on a register. A claim is from the individual saying, I should be on the list, or I should be on the list in this area, and I'm not, so I'm making a claim for myself. There's a process for that to come in. Then the claims and objections are published, and then there's a hearing that's had by the revising officer, who's actually the chief magistrate, who actually has effectively court to hear both sides of a challenge. And once that's done, then we finalize the list and the list is published. So that process is there. So persons who are overseas can request postal ballots. And the first set of postal ballots are, like I said, are out on March 10th. April 17th is the deadline for applying for postal ballots. That's the day before Good Friday in April, because Easter is sort of way down in April this next year. And then we dispatch the postal ballots using commercial courier, which we've done for the last election. We've also done recently for the referendum. So the previous cruise court referendum, we were actually issuing postal ballots at the time that the Grand Court did the injunction that halted the process. But so that's the deadline. The forms are available on our website. We will be making that form electronic as well, so that make it easier for folks to fill it out and send it in. And once we have that, it goes to the registering officer, who then processes those, and they go off for postal ballot issues. So yeah, all of our students, persons overseas for medical, persons working for the government, for airlines, those sorts of things, can apply for postal ballots. You cannot apply for a postal ballot though if you are on island, unless you are traveling and will be away on election day. If you're on island and you can't come to the polls for whatever reason, either you're working in a job that you can't get time off, and employers have to give you time off if you're working, other than the folks who are working for us and folks at the hospital and police officers, they can all vote via mobile voting, and you can apply for that as well as part of the process. So yeah, our students are not disenfranchised, and my young people who are away, my own children, are asking for instructions as to how they go about applying for their postal ballots, because they want to vote. Yeah.
All right, so we're going to break those down in just a little bit more detail here, but we just have a question of clarification. This person says, hi, did he say that they call out the names? Would that be the voters' names?
No. So when we're counting, we call out the name of the candidate that we're that has the X or the check mark against them. If you write your name on your ballot, you're going to spoil your ballot. That's one of the things that we don't permit is folks identifying themselves on their ballot. But yeah, we call out the names of the candidates. So if we have two e-banks, for example, we'll call the first name to differentiate them, and that just makes it easier for folks to put their tally mark against the right candidate.
All right, very, very good. So if you want to post the ballot, what is the process then to ensure that you can get that?
You can go to the elections.ky website. There's a tab that says forms. Under there's a form for postal ballots. We'll make that more prominent on our homepage as we get past nominations and get into not nominations, sorry, end of voter registration, and then we get into that process. There is one caveat though, and again, the young people have it a bit different. If you're 18 on or before April 30th, you can register to vote, but you have to do it by January 15th. So the deadline is still the same for you. If you are 18, if you're a new voter coming on, so all those people that are registering now, we will not be able to issue those postal ballots until April 1st when they officially become electors.
Okay.
Yeah. So when we start issuing postal ballots in March, we're using the January 1st list. We also won't issue postal ballots to anybody who is moving from one electoral district to the next. So we'll hold those ballots back until April 1st and then issue them there. So if you're moving from Georgetown East to Northside, and you won't be on the Northside list until the 1st of April. We'll issue that ballot after the 1st of April in the Northside district. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So sometimes we hear people questioning the process, like they don't believe it's completely anonymous, and they claim that I've had candidates come up to me and say, "Well, I know you didn't vote for me," and so they're wondering how can a candidate know that? I think it's intimidation more than anything else. But give us some comfort and how anonymous the process is when you get into that booth and you vote. Who knows who you have voted for? Is that truly just you and God?
Yes. So unless you ask for assistance from a presiding officer, if you are unable to mark the ballot yourself, but if you are able to mark your own ballot and you go into the booth, if you do it through mobile voting or through postal voting, your ballot is sealed up, it's dropped in the box, and nobody knows. So what's really transparent with us is who has voted. Because the agents who are in the polling station during the vote, the agents who are present for postal ballot issues, who are present for mobile voting, all have lists of individuals who are either, if it's a polling station on election day, then there's a list of people who are authorized to vote in that polling station. So if you're not on that list, you're not going to vote. So as part of our check and balance, we call out the name and the occupation of the individual who is voting, so people know that you have voted, but how you vote is all on you and God. Yeah.
Okay. All right, good. So there's also oftentimes rumors of people who have passed on, who are deceased, who somehow end up voting. How is that possible?
So we've, in my history, we've had a couple of individuals who have voted after they passed away. And the way that happened is that they voted by post or they did mobile voting, and their ballots were dropped in the ballot box and they passed away before election day. So those individuals voted and their numbers counted, but they were no longer with us by the time we got to general election day. Because the list is quite public and published, and individuals are agents in electoral districts that they reside in, that's part of our check and balance, and which is why we say that who votes is very transparent, in that individuals can challenge persons to say, you say that you are so and so, but I don't know you as so and so. Can you show me your ID? And that's a job for the presiding officer of that polling station to do, to ensure that they're satisfied that the individual who's asking for a ballot in that name is indeed that person.
But even if they passed away, their vote is still good. Because
once it goes in the box, we don't know who the vote is for, so we count all the ballots that are in the box. So
okay. All right. So we're going to talk now about registration. Someone wants to know if you can register online. Is this something that you've launched recently?
Yes, we have an online form that you can upload your documents. We're making a couple of tweaks to it. We hope to have that up at the end of the week, because folks were going through the process and not attaching their forms. So if you submit a form without proving that you are who you say you are and that you're Kimanian, then we can't actually process that. So you're not registered until you do all the other bits. But the form is still up and available on the elections office website. And we've done that really to help the young persons, make it more streamlined. So you could, if you have your passport, birth certificate, your acknowledgement letter on your phone, then you can go there and upload all those from your phone and hit submit and send those through. So we're trying our best to get those young people up and running and ready for the general election, because they are severely outnumbered.
Yeah, and it makes it a lot easier if you can just do it right from your computer. Catherine is asking, should you let the elections office know if someone in your family has died? So I'm sure it makes your lives easier if people just tell you that someone has passed on.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do our best. We get the lists from General Registry of deaths. We also, the registrant officers, peruse the Cayman Compass and the funeral homes
funeral
websites.
notices. Yeah.
But in some cases, person pass away overseas, or the name that they publish in is not always their formal government name, because a lot of folks go by their also known as names. So yeah, if persons are aware of that, then yeah, we would appreciate that coming in. It makes a difference, particularly if there's a referendum and the percentage of voters is key.
Mm-hmm. All right, lots of questions coming in. This one says, Sandy, please ask, mail-in ballots for people who have lived overseas for many years, do they have a choice of which constituency they want to vote in?
It's an interesting one. So if you would be registered in a particular constituency before you leave, if your family has moved while you're overseas, you still would be registered at a constituency unless you apply for a change of address that happens by January 15th. So that deadline is the same. So your ballot is being issued in the electoral district in which you're registered. If that has changed, then you need to do that. That change of address, name, or occupation has to happen by January 15th as well.
I see. And can they vote by mail no matter how, I think we've answered this one already, no matter how many years they have lived overseas, as long as they've maintained their citizenship? So we answered that already, and you said it kind of depends. And there have been people who've successfully been overseas for a while and challenged that they can still vote.
Yeah, but if you are overseas for extended periods and that's known to the registering officer, then they will themselves challenge you to say that you are likely in breach of the residency portion of the voter requirements to remain on the register. Yeah.
All right. Another question says, good morning. What if a person will be 18 in February of 2025? Can they be registered in January the 15th and still be on the voters list in time to vote in the election?
Absolutely. You can be 18 up until April 30th and register, but you have to register by the 15th of January.
Okay.
So you can register at 17 as long as you're going to be 18 before, on or before April 30th.
Okay. Great question. That's a good one. Right. So elderly people that can't get out to vote. So this is where now you've got the mobile voting.
Yes.
To help shut-ins. So explain how that process works.
So mobile voting is exactly like voting on election day, except that the polling station comes to you. So we have the presiding officer with their box, their ballot papers. We have their poll clerks. We have the agents can attend. We have a police officer that travels, and they're moving together on a bus, and they go from one location to the next. So, for example, if someone is in hospital for an extended period, they can apply for a mobile voting ballot. If persons are on remand in Northward, they haven't been disqualified because they hadn't been sentenced to more than 12 months. We can take the mobile voting to them in Northward, persons in the Pines or other places. So we've done that successfully in the past, and it's quite a procession to see the bus going through with the officials going from house to house, from location to location. Those persons aren't eligible for postal ballots, but they are eligible for mobile voting.
Right. And is there any competency questions that are asked for mobile voters? Because I can imagine, some of those are elderly people who are shut-ins. How does that work? Do we need to care if they're competent to vote? I mean,
they have to be able to instruct, either market themselves or instruct the presiding officer how to market. So if they're in a household and they can point to the name that they want, then they can do that. If they're not able to instruct, then a family member cannot do it. So it's not vote by proxy. It has to be that individual voting. And I can say there were some shenanigans around postal voting, because when we switched from postal voting to mobile voting, there are persons who voted for years, who had no capacity of knowing who they are, where they were, whether or not they wanted to vote for candidate Y or Z. So those persons eventually were not able to vote. And the returning officer is usually traveling along with that group and would make that call at that point as to whether or not that individual has the capacity to do it. Now, I've seen in my time that individuals are having an off day. So when we go to the mobile vote, they're not able to do it, but they have a better day on general election day, and their families will bring them out, and they're able to go in and mark their ballots themselves, or so that's a possibility as well. But the person has to be able to indicate or mark the ballot themselves, and it can't be a helper or a family member who is making that call for them.
Very good to know. Because of course there've been questions about, not just shut-ins, but people who have some sort of incapacitation, special needs individuals, how much they understand, and if they're able to make the selection themselves.
Yeah.
Anthony, yes, go ahead.
We have made some changes to the ballots over the years, so we now have a photo of the candidate on there, as well as the party logo if they're a part of a party, or IND if they're independent. So individuals who are not able to read or can recognize the photo and point to the person. So we've made some strides to make it easier for folks to be able to select the candidate of their choice.
Oh, that's good. Because in fact, just yesterday I was saying to someone, it looks like in one district we're going to have two people with the exact same first name, Craig Marin and Craig Frederick. It looks like they're going to be running. And so I said, I wonder how that works if someone can't really read. So it's good to know the photos will be there. So hopefully the photos
they'll have a number, the name, and the photo. So
yes. All right. Anthony has a comment. He says, every ballot has a unique reference number printed on it. Is it possible to know who you voted for, but it would take a very detailed account to find out? It would definitely be someone that's counting to identify it and cross-reference it to the voters list when you arrive. So how does that numbering, because I know people questioned that before, to say, can that be traced back to who actually voted? So explain that one to us.
So the ballot, when it comes out of the book, has two sections. A counterfoil, which has the number of the register in the voters list, and it has the number of the ballot. On the back side of the ballot, the second part of that ballot paper is the same number. When you vote, that counterfoil is separated, it's sealed up in an envelope, and the ballot paper is dropped in. So the only way that you're going to be able to tell who that is if the Grand Court orders that the ballots be recounted, and also not just a regular recount, but a full analysis of individuals and how they voted. And that would be very unlikely, but it would only be court that could actually unseal those documents. So at the time of counting, the number of the ballot paper is on the back of the ballot paper. So when we show the ballot paper to the persons in the room, we're only showing the front side of the ballot paper. So it would be nigh near impossible to tell who belongs to what ballot paper and how they voted at the time of counting. So that's really not an issue. It would only be if and the counterfoils are not even present at the time of the count, right? This is the process that happens after the close of the polls. So those documents would have been sealed up and ready to be stored securely for the period that's required in law for those to be held and then destroyed. So there is no way to tell whose ballot paper is whose, unless people write their names on it. And if you do, then you're going to spoil your ballot paper.
Yes. All right. Desert Rose says, not a question, but a shout out to Wes, the best chief officer. We will miss him for his substantive role, but very proud to see him serving in this capacity. Thank you so much, Desert Rose. On Facebook, on YouTube. And I must say the YouTube numbers this morning, killing the Facebook folks. What's going on? 207 people watching on YouTube, 117 on Facebook. And of course, we got Instagram, which tends to be smaller numbers. But you know what? Those are the young people. So we keep the Instagram live going so that they can sit there and quietly watch and stuff as well. Any questions, Instagram folks? Now is your opportunity. Oh, yes, we have a question here from SL Rankin, says, good morning. Apologies if you've already addressed this, but if you've moved districts, do you have to update your registration? And if so, how and where?
Form 13 is the way to do that. Yes, you have to do it by law, and you can fill it out and send it in. If you're doing a name change, for example, then you need your deed poll or your marriage certificate, or your contract if you're in a civil union. So those have to be sent in for a name change, but your change of address, yes, you have to do that. And if you don't, then you run the risk of being challenged. And the way that happens is when folks are going door to door and they figure out that one of their non-supporters is not where they're supposed to be, then they will object to them. So, you run the risk of being challenged at the 11th hour, and not being on there if you don't fill out your paperwork and put yourself in the correct electoral district.
Very good. So Tizzy Bug, yes, we're on Facebook and YouTube. Join the WhatsApp channel, because then we send you the links directly so that you can always click on those every single morning. So if you need the WhatsApp channel, just WhatsApp me and I'm happy to send that to you. This person says, I think that the photo of the candidates was from 2021 as well. Now, for mobile voting, how does someone sign up for that?
Again, there's a form that you have to do for mobile voting. That's available on our website as well. We'll make that one electronic also, particularly on the postal voting side of that. And then that goes to the registering officer. And once that's approved, then we have a list of people who are approved for postal or for mobile voting. Yeah.
All right. And get familiar with the elections website, folks. It does have quite a bit of information. I'm going to just share it here on the screen that is available. It is elections.ky, and they've got all sorts of historical information about election results. And you can also, see media releases, history of elections in the Cayman Islands, the candidates and agencies once that happens, nomination of candidates. So it gives you quite a bit of really, really great information. And of course, there's a whole voter registration section here where you can see like boundary information. So there will be no changes in this upcoming election to the boundaries. I think that was a report was submitted, but no changes have been vetted or accepted.
No recommendations from the boundary commissioners was accepted. So we're running on the same boundaries that were in place since 2015. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And you can find out what your electoral district is. And the last date for claims or objections being November the 8th. Well, that's gone already. 2024.
We'll update that with the claims and objections, which will be sort of February 2025.
Oh, okay. All right, good.
Once the revised list is out, we'll update that. Yes.
Okay. All right. And you can even check your name on here to make sure that you're actually on the list and you're where you're supposed to be. So lots of very, very useful information here, folks, that really makes it.
So while you're on there, Sandy, if you look at at publications and then statistics.
Electoral statistics.
There are all sorts of bits there, and if you can click on and it pops up the actual item. So I'd segue from that into our young people voting and registering to vote. So according to ESO, we had an estimated 3,600, almost 3,700 young people between the ages of 18 and 24. As of the 1st of January list, we had 1,055 persons within that age group registered. So there's 1,362 young men who had not registered to vote, and 1,281 young ladies who have not registered to vote. So only 26% of eligible males are registered, and only 31% of eligible females are registered to vote. So that number is really low. And for the Instagram crowd, you need to get represented, because the politicians favor decisions that influence, that affect electors. And if you're not part of that, then you're at a disservice to yourself. So please register to vote, because you can see from the graph that that's really skewed towards the the middle of the age
53.
group, 55 to
Yeah.
64. Yeah.
And the average voter is female, age 53, I think, as well.
Yes. Yeah. And they're more females than they are males. 54% of the voters are female. 46% are males. So.
Yeah. And this is important because, again, even the female voter, especially younger women who want, things that represent us as women, this is important for you to make sure that you get out there and you be represented, because if the average right now is age 53, that's past childbearing age, or things that, once you're 53, you're heading towards retirement. There are lots of things, you probably already have a first home, you're not really as concerned about. So young folks, you're complaining about issues, you're talking about these things matter to you. How you make sure that it matters to the politicians is you represent. In other words, you bring those numbers up and you say, hey, we're going to move that from female 53 to female 35. And then they need to start looking at policy and initiatives that impact the average person who would be at that stage, a female 35 or whatever. So that's how you do it. That's the importance really of getting registered to vote. So big shout out, morning, Miss Darlene. Peter says, what is the process if you've misplaced your voter's ID card? Good question, Peter.
You can pop down to the office. We have a form that you fill out to claim that it's missing, and then we will reissue the card to you. Importantly, on election day, you don't have to use the voter registration card to vote. You can use a passport or a driver's license. And you can vote that way. But if you want your voter ID card, pop down to our office. We're open 9 to 4, and we'll be extending those hours in January to open later as we go forward to the election.
All right. Shioma says, so much great information. The power of the people is greater than the people in power. All right. Let me see. Island Pearl says, what is Mr. West's thoughts or opinions to the younger generation not wanting to register to vote because of possibly being selected for jury duty, which for some reason they don't want to? So is that why young people are not voting?
That's one of them, but the Ministry of Youth have a youth vote program going on that they're doing targeted young people, speaking to young people. They did a survey. I don't know what the results of the survey are, but there are some apathetic folks just not interested in politics generally. The jury duty is one of those things, but my fallback on the jury thing is that if you are in the unfortunate position to be before the courts, wouldn't you want somebody your age group being the ones that are thinking about evidence that are being presented and what your viewpoints are, rather than someone who has no context where you are? So, from my perspective, I see that as a good thing that they want to get on, not necessarily there. Folks are sometimes not interested in the candidates. The issue that we have, though, because of that process of claims and objections, we close voter registration long before nomination day. So you might have the candidate that you really want to support and you hadn't registered by then. So there is no mandatory voting and there's no mandatory registration. But if you register, then you're able to. You have a choice. If not, then there's no hope of you getting on there. Yeah,
that's a very good point. And I think that, again, this is sort of outside the scope of what you're doing, but I think that there could be some changes to the, to really be considered for jury selection. And I think that would ease up, because when you get selected, you're selected for like months at a time and you can do multiple trials. And it's a bit much, in my opinion. It's not just one trial. So I get that our population is small, and maybe we need to look at how to revise who's eligible. Listen, if you want PR, then come on board, but that's going to come with some responsibilities as well. And maybe not hold people for a full 3 months either, shorten it a little bit.
But the young person's not being registered to vote in their numbers. It's not unique to Cayman. That's very common throughout the world. We just saw it in the U.S. elections where they had targeted programs trying to get young people on the register.
Absolutely. All right. Mello says, get registered and make your vote count. Stop saying nothing will change. Be the change. Johnny, good morning, says, I have yet to be chosen for jury duty, having been registered voter for 12 years. Johnny, I feel you, because in fact, I have never been selected. I think now I'm in one of those categories where I can't be, but I would have gladly served as well. So I don't know how they actually picked the list, and but I think again, maybe some revisions to that, not a bad idea. So that's a matter probably for maybe the courts and elected officials once again.
It's a separate piece of legislation for that. There's a whole jury law.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So Kasia says, in speaking to young people, there's a general chorus when it comes to politics here. They see that it's a waste of time as they feel all governments only care for them during election time. And again, that voter apathy that we're talking about, especially with younger people, as Mr. West properly said, is not something that is unique to Cayman. Young folks, kind of think differently, and we need to definitely have them get more engaged in the process. Diana says, what part of Georgetown am I? How do I know this? So trying to register. So how do you figure out? I mean, I guess when you go to register and you give them your address, they will tell you what constituency you fall into.
Yes, absolutely. So we've since 2017 use the Lansing survey database. So we don't register people in houses that don't exist. So when you come in, you'll give us your house number or block and parcel number. We'll look it up to ensure that it is where you say it is. And then every house is placed in an electoral district. So if you don't know what it is for the form, you can leave that section blank. The registering officer will do it based on your physical address. If you come into the office, they'll actually show you on the screen, like, is this your house that you're identifying? And then from there, we can go ahead and register. The maps are online for sure, but the street addresses also use that. So we use the land survey database for that purpose.
So there is a 2015 boundaries and maps, and this is the current one that is in use.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I see the recommended maps here, but that hasn't been. Maybe to not confuse people, you might want to take that bit down.
I might take those off because yes, absolutely. And
I
that
can
process
see
is almost finished. Yeah.
Automatically click on that and go, oh yeah, this is where. Okay. All right. So no changes. So you're looking at 2015 boundaries and maps. Are you okay to continue? We've got some more questions coming in.
I am fine, yes.
Yeah, all right, awesome. Looks like you're a very popular guest, sir. This one says, this person says, good morning, Auntie Sandy and Mr. Howell. This is an amazing show. We need more shows like this where the public can ready themselves with questions and guests fire off answers. Love this, so important. Thank you for what you do. Well, thank you, ma'am. Let me see. Just got a message that some people think if you're Caymanian, you don't have to register. Oh my gosh, no. They thought that it's only for those who were not Caymanians. So no, everyone has to register to vote at some point.
Yes, and the other nuance is that if you were removed from the register because of a conviction, you don't automatically get added back on. You have to come into office and register. So all those persons who were sentenced to 12 months, you didn't have to tell us that you were sentenced. The court tells us that information. We then remove you, but you have to come in and re-register. So please, if you've been served some time up at North or Fairbanks, check the register. Make sure you're on there. If you're not on there, come see us before January 15th. Now, if you're on early release, i.e. your sentence isn't completely spent, then you can't register unless that sentence is spent before the 15th of January.
Okay.
So if you got 12...
Let me just clarify what you said, right? So you got, you did some petty theft, something ridiculous. You got 1.5 years in jail. You're automatically removed from the electors list. Now, in order to get added back, you have to have a conviction that was actually spent.
Yes. So after 18 months, one day after 18 months, you can come in and get re-registered. You may be out of prison, or you might not even have gone to prison. You just were sentenced. You have to run that completely out before you can re-register. So that conviction would bar you from being a registered elector.
Do suspended sentences for more than 12 months also count against you?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Wow.
So we have some folks that come into, but I didn't go to prison. Like, yeah, you were still sentenced.
All right. So that's quite interesting. Didn't know that one for sure.
And that's set out in the Constitution.
Yes. Okay. And then it's automatically spent after 18 months. 18 months past your release, or
after the date of sentencing. So when that clock runs out, then you can re-register. So you might not be incarcerated at that point in time, but if you were convicted in December of 2023, and your sentence ends in December of 2024, you can re-register in January of 2025 because you've completely done. So you may have been out on early release from October of this year, but you can't actually register until that process is that timeline is gone.
And so nobody who is in prison can vote?
Persons in prison who haven't been sentenced to 12 months or more can actually vote. And we do that through mobile voting. In some cases where individuals are remanded between mobile voting time and election day, we've had the prison officer staff contact our command center. We arrange for them to come out and they are escorted to the polling station and are able to vote in person. But we prefer to do them through mobile voting if we can, because it's just more logistically
more controlled.
Controlled and easier. But yeah, they can actually vote.
Okay, so prisoners, y'all pay attention too. I know some of y'all get to listen to CMR every once in a while. So, exercise that vote. Another question is, do they do early voting? I know they do mobile voting, but what about early voting?
No additional early voting other than the mobile voting, and of course the postal ballots. I would love to see early voting myself. Just the flexibility of getting people when they can vote to come out and vote. But no other than mobile voting, which is April 22nd, 3rd, 24th, and 25th, which is the short week after Easter Monday in 2025. That's the days that we're doing mobile voting.
So many amazing questions. This is quite informative. Right, we've got a caller as well. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Sandra Ramos speaking.
Morning.
Yeah, morning. Sandra, every brief, right? This morning, yeah. Good morning, Mr. Howell. Sandra.
Morning. Yeah. Yes, sir.
You put my Facebook, right? That I get 3 years. Right, I go to prison. I get charged too much time served. Right? They don't cut up the criticism. When you got to be Sandra, be precise, accurate, and specific, man. Okay? My thing, right? It's twofold and binary, right? For myself. And do you advocate for sexual register offenders, right? Whatever.
I'm having a hard time understanding you. So you're saying that you were convicted, and what was your sentence?
Listen, you put me on my road, right? I get 3 years. That charged 6 months. I get charged 2 months. 2 years, 8 months.
So you got
time is served. Time is served, right? You put me on my road. I went to prison. I seen the computer. I called you one time, but I have a topic. You can call my voice. You know me doing it wrong, but you've heard this. The point can be no.
So you said a story said you got 36 months, but it was only 32 months.
On my road, you put it on my road. I get charged 2 months. Don't say they're wrong. I can't get this. I had a good case. My thing, Sandra.
Okay. Are you happy to send me your name so that I can just verify? Because sometimes if you're just looking at the headline, this is where you got to read the article. The headline might round it up. So it might say, if you got 2.6 years, it might just say, the headline might say so-and-so sentenced to 3 years. But when you go and actually read the story tends to break it down in terms of what the person was given, whether it ran concurrent, consecutive, whatever, like it gives all the details there. So I don't know if you're looking at just the headline, if you actually read the story itself, but we're happy to look at it and verify it.
Yeah, but Sandra, this is in half, right? And it's important. The stop at the campaign time, and it's a predisposition beforehand, and stuff. It's planning. That's it. But Sandra, my thing though, I did for myself a 2-4 binary provocation, aggravation. The gentleman, the 30-year-old one that raped the 10-year-old child, came in about a young me. What a young me? I did for myself. It's an affidavit to the judge, right? For judgment to the third degree, whatever. mitigation factors.
Yeah. So I mean, we want to keep this to the election topic. So are you going to be voting?
I get a point now. Mr. Howell. Howell released now. I'm ready now. Can I be ready, sir?
When did you get released?
I get November.
November last month.
22nd.
Just last month on the 22nd.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So he wants and what were you? How much time were you sentenced to? You said 32 months.
Yeah, thanks, sir. Sandra, listen. I called really came on about 3 weeks ago when I come out. Now talk about the attrition that we need to seize. You checking him off the list, whatever situation, right? The attrition, that our board without attrition. So I want to know if it's how we can, if I go to person, if they swap me out or what, because they go spend life out, Sandra. All right.
Yeah. All right. Let's see if Mr. Wesley can help you out here. Thank you, sir, for the call. And just message me. You know, we don't want to add on months to your sentence.
Clarification, Sandra. That's me. Be precise.
Yeah, I mean, listen, when it comes to court matters and sentencing matters, we try to be. Sometimes we get it down to the very number of days. And then sometimes it has to be calculated. So the judge might have said, you know, we're going to give you 36 months, but what you actually serve is less because then you get time served and they make deductions. So it's not as simple as you might think sometimes when we're sitting in court and doing court reporting. It really does depend on how it's being said. And we might say, okay, the person was sentenced to 36 months, but then deductions will be made. And that's the judge and the court leaves that up to the prison staff to do your relevant deductions. So in fact, you might have actually only, you know, served the 32 months, but you know, there's a reason why the judges say it in that particular way. But send us your information on the WhatsApp. We're happy to verify and check it for you and make any corrections that are needed. But let's have Mr. Howell answer your question, okay? Yeah, no problem, my dear. All right, good. All right, so yes.
So this may well be one of those cases where an individual is lost their right to be a registered voter because of a conviction. They have served a portion of their sentence and are now on early release, but the sentence may actually still be running. So not knowing his details, that he can pop into the elections office, we can look him up. We record when the sentence is up in the system. So we can verify that is what that information is, and then further advise when he can be re-registered if he's now eligible to re-register to vote. But being out of prison on early release is not necessarily the thing that we go by. It's when your sentence is up, and there are all sorts of nuances there. You could get concurrent sentences, you can get consecutive sentences. So we go through all those scenarios.
Yes. And that's what I was even saying to him. Like, it's not quite as easy to get it right when you're sitting there listening to a judge as well. Exactly. They say different things. So Vanessa says, that's how my daughter feels, a waste of time. Get her registered, Vanessa. As a parent, we have to guide our children. And sometimes that means, making them go online and do it. And I'm talking to her about the process and stuff as well. Shaka says, considering there's such a disproportionate number of possible eligible voters in prison, is there any consideration or path to have these voters become eligible? Well, I know in the US, a lot of people are saying, hey, we've got a president now that's a convicted felon, so why should I not be able to get a job and vote? So are there any discussions that you're aware of to allow prisoners more liberties when it comes to voting?
So the international observers who have been with us now since 2013, thereabouts, or actually before that, maybe 2009, have repeatedly asked for changes to our constitution effectively to allow persons to not be disenfranchised because of conviction. That requires a constitutional change. So that's way above my area of responsibility, but that is where the change has to be made is in the Constitution.
All right. So again, that's your elected officials vote. That's why you want to vote for people who are, minded about, human rights and different things. And they actually listen to the international world when they make recommendations. Michael says that being on the voters list makes your home address public. that could potentially make your target if you end up in a jury. If the home address wasn't public, then you could get more people to register. Oh, that's an interesting point.
Yeah, I've advocated for that for several cycles now, saying we need to take the addresses off the register. We can leave the electoral district, but not the addresses. That requires a change. I'd like to see that happen when we get some legislative changes come through.
So that's again, yeah. So looks like our elected officials need to be doing some work around elections law and even constitution potentially. So very, very good point, Michael. Cassius, is there any way to be voluntarily removed from the voters list? I'd like to be removed, not because of having to serve in a jury, but rather that I don't vote anymore.
No, there's no mechanism to be removed from the voters list other than the disqualifying criteria. So you've moved away, you've been sentenced to more than 12 months, you've been declared as mentally unsound, I think is the definition that we use in the law, although it isn't politically correct anymore, of unsound mind. So those are the really only ways that you get removed. It's like you can't unsubscribe to that.
All right. John LaRue says, if we have voted in prior elections, can we assume that we're still in the registry? I emailed the office yesterday, but crickets. Well, John, you can actually go on the website. You can go on the website and check for yourself. There's actually, I think it's on the homepage. It's pretty easy to check to see if you are still on the list. In fact, and anybody can check that. So anybody can put in your name and see if you're registered to vote and exactly where you are. So good morning, caller.
Hi, good morning, Sandra. Good morning. Forgive me, your name just escaped me.
Mr. Wesley
I have a quick question. Mr. Wesley.
Yes. Election supervisor.
Yes. I visited with a friend of mine yesterday, and who is, I would say, completely disabled physically, quite sound mind. And I wanted to know, and forgive me if you've already said this, I'm just now tuning in. He is registered to vote, wants to vote, is able to verbally articulate his choice, is somehow able to, when in speaking with him, he said, he thought it was critical. He called me over to find out yesterday, and he said, with some assistance, he can mark the ballot, albeit it may not be, he's a stroke victim, so he's, I would say, basically paralyzed from the neck down. And he can somehow, with assistance, make that mark. And I was wondering if he could, if he hasn't already, speak to how is that going to be done. So I know that there's a mobile voting option, but in terms of persons that would fall into that disabled category, how is it done? How is it received? I know voting is quite, obviously very important, but there's some misnomers out there that, it has to be an X, it can't be a check. I've seen in instances and observing where people have circled their choice. So I was wondering if he could just explain to the general public in terms of persons with disabilities who may not be physically able to make that mark, or not just disabilities, persons who are not as well read as others and who can verbally articulate their choice. What options are going to be available for those persons, and what assistance, if any, will the elections office be offering for that? So I'll just log off now and just listen to his response.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. So we did answer that, but it's worth repeating again.
Absolutely. Great question again. Mobile voting is available for persons who are unable to make it out to the polls for whatever reason. Persons are able to vote with assistance. That assistance is delivered by the presiding officer. You're allowed to have a friend present, just effectively to ensure that the presiding officer is marking the ballot as being instructed by the individual. We ask that the agents and stuff give us a bit of room when that process happens, so that they don't hear who the person's asking to be the vote to be cast for. Now, some people don't care, and they'll shout it to the rosters who who they want to select, that's on them. But the process of counting, we utilize the Commonwealth law that have been to court cases on how ballots are marked, and these are challenges to how ballots are interpreted. It's part of the process that we do when we're training the persons to do an account. We also do an orientation for candidates and their agents as to what would constitute a spoiled ballot, but an X, a tick, a circle, as long as your who you're indicating is clear, then that's good. Some people have written in the name of the candidate in the space. I would recommend that you not write names in, but circle, tick, X are all valid options. What will spoil your ballot if you vote for more than one person because you only have one choice. So yeah.
Yeah. So several people simultaneously asking the same question, which is on WhatsApp, it came through as, why is your personal address still being made public? Isn't this a breach of data protection law, or were there provisions in the DP law? So this is quite interesting. And I see Shaka also asking pretty much the same question. Wouldn't having your address on the list be a matter of possible conflict of PII, personally identifiable information? It got me to thinking when the other person asked it, Shaka, maybe it's something that needs to be judicially challenged, and then that will force the respective change to occur. Because yes, we do have data protection legislation and stuff now as well. And, maybe that's one section of the Constitution that isn't actually compatible with the data protection law.
So it is a legal requirement under the Elections Act that we publish the name, address, and occupation. So we've been through this with the Ombudsman's Office as well as the Human Rights Commission. They're all advocating, as I am, that be removed. But until then, we have a legal obligation under the Elections Act to publish, even though the data protection say that's personal information. The Elections Act said that we publish it. So I'm not happy about that, but it's a legal requirement.
Yeah. And I mean, it can't be that hard to change elections law. I mean, laws get changed all the time. Ms. Pat says, excellent public education class, Sandy. Keep up the good work. Educate our people. That's key. Cassius is still feeling salty that he can't remove himself from the list. So Johnny says, you can remove yourself if you die, if you're on sound mind, or possibly if you go north for 12 plus months. So not wishing any of that on you, of course. Gabby says, well, don't put my name down for nobody this voting season because I don't vote. I never did vote and I don't agree on voting. Oh, Gabby, that's such a shame. So then that means that you really don't get to complain about anything that happens in the country if you're refusing to participate in what is really your most basic democratic right. Instagram question came in from Positive 100. Says, can that voter call me as my nutrients will help him to restore his health again? Huh? Who? What voter?
I think that's the person who had a stroke. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Inspiring says, good morning. I noticed online that you were asking for birth certificate and parents' birth certificate plus ID and other documents. Why so many? So this really comes down to how you are eligible to vote, Inspiring. So let's talk about that.
Yeah. So if you were born before 1977 in the Cayman Islands, parents domiciled in the Cayman Islands, then you're Cayman by birth. After that period, birth in the Cayman Islands doesn't automatically make you a Cayman. You need to have a parental connection or grandparent connection, which is why we're seeking some of the other documents. For the folks that have their status certificate or an acknowledgement letter, then definitely you can do that. You don't need your parents' birth certificate. And we don't want to necessarily run folks over to the work agency to be acknowledged to be able to register to vote. So we're asking for those documents that would prove that you are Cayman through lineage, through parents or grandparents, or through the acknowledgement or Cayman status route where you have a certificate that says that you are. So unfortunately, because there's no birth by or citizenship by birth alone, we have to request some additional documents. But we do have on the back of the online form, we do explain what category would need to supply what documents. So if you have your naturalization letter, which a lot of young people do if they apply for scholarships or for other things, then you don't need to supply your parents' birth certificates. We'll take that and that acts
You've
on
already
itself.
been through the process of acknowledging your eligibility, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Ask him the deadline for civil servants to resign if they want to run for candidacy. This is a good one.
Somebody asking for a friend, maybe. The constitutional requirements for elected office are set out. I think it's section 61 of the Constitution. You cannot be a public officer and be nominated. So if you are, it's actually 62, which is the disqualification part of it. So if you are a public servant on the day of nomination, then you're not duly nominated. You can't be a public officer and be nominated. So any civil servants that want to put themselves up for office would have to resign and have that be effective before a nomination day. And that's not leave of absence because you're technically still a civil servant. You have to be resigned free and clear by nomination day.
Yes. And of course, you should not be a civil servant out there campaigning on your behalf either. So if you intend to campaign prior to nomination day, you should likewise resign. I think we had a situation recently that I heard of where an individual is potentially doing that, one of the districts. So Gabby says, Sandy, the reason why it's the same crap, different year, like before, for real, BF real, what is that? Like something. It doesn't actually change. It'd be the same treatment. Well, I mean, you're not going to know that. I mean, you've got to, as Johnny rightfully said, if you don't participate in the process, because you have the option of, if you don't, like what you see, you can change that. And the only way that you change that is by giving someone else a chance, and you have to get out there and vote in order to do that. So Kim, your question was just answered about documentation. So it's funny how the questions are kind of parallel. Coming in at the same time. Someone wants to know if you've written a cabinet paper about having the address change and maybe present that to cabinet, and that might motivate them into, getting that done. I don't know. So folks, there's a very serious accident in South Sound. We encourage you to try to be as safe on the roadways as you can be. Unfortunately, I feel like I'm saying this in the wind these days because the number of accidents, unbelievable. So this one just came in this morning, and it looks like multiple vehicles involved. We see the Cayman Islands Fire Service, big shout out to them, on location now. So please, if you can, as well as the RCIPS and the ambulance, avoid South Sound if you're still traveling on the roadway this morning. It looks like they have a bit of a mess to clean up there, involving multiple vehicles. My goodness. Yeah. So, oh my goodness. Look at that. What a mess. All right, folks. So try to, there's at least 2 vehicles, possibly even more involved in that one. So try to be careful as you traverse the roadways this time of year. It's extra busy. And lots and lots of accidents happening. So if a person has lived here for over 25 years as a status holder, is it possible for that person to be able to run for a political seat to get elected and not be the premier? If my memory served me right, Kurt Tibbetts was born in Jamaica and ran a politician and eventually became the leader of the party. The difference there, I think, is that he actually had Caymanian lineage. So he was only born in Jamaica for medical purposes. And so there's different things. I know a lot of people, West, have been challenged on this, on their eligibility because they've had another passport or whatever. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the courts have basically said, if you yourself didn't take any positive action to acquire, say, for example, you're born in the US, but you've never applied to get a US passport or whatever, then that's different than when you take positive action to acquire a secondary status, then that would make you ineligible. And we have seen people who were found to be ineligible. The courts have said, nope, you're not eligible. And then they end up giving up that second citizenship so that they can, in the next election, become eligible to run.
Yeah, it speaks to pledge of allegiance or allegiance to another country. Say for any citizenship that you may have at birth. But this is one area that I don't actually advise folks on, because technically I am the one that is going to be taking them to the court for a declaration as to whether or not they're qualified. So my standard answer is, if you're intending to run, go find your lawyer and ask them, present your documents, and have them go through to advise you if you have any issues that might disqualify you.
Okay, good. And I think we answered this one already. Can someone get registered while in prison?
Yes.
All right.
Assuming that they haven't been sentenced to more than 12 months.
Yes, good.
Yeah.
All right. So this person says, good morning. I've been waiting for 23 years to be called for jury duty. I was actually looking forward to it, but I'm still waiting, and I'm a generational Caymanian. What is up with that? I wish I could answer it, but it seems like they like to reuse the same lists, I guess. I'm not really sure how they decide exactly who gets called, but there you have it. All right, folks. So this person says, morning, I missed what documents are required to register to vote. So hopefully, I think that was just repeated since then. Can you please ask him if you have an issue at your home and having it repaired and living with a friend at the time of election, can you vote in a different district? So it is by law, I think, where you're regularly and ordinarily registered living, right? So there's a definition of what that means.
Absolutely. And if you have any questions, you can call our office, send in an email, and we'll do our best to guide you as to. But you will be able to vote in the district that you're registered in.
All right. So, all right, very good. So I think we've gotten to most of the questions. Thank you guys so much. This has been so incredibly informative, Mr. Wesley Howell, Supervisor of Elections. And it demonstrates how obviously people were sitting by waiting for you to come in because they had so many amazing questions for you today. Lucky Body says, I'm a Caymanian student studying in the UK. How can I vote from overseas? So that is what we would call a postal ballot. So let's just review once more, Wesley, the different ways in which people can basically vote. So we've got going in person on April the 30th. We have postal ballots.
Well, first we need to make sure that Lucky is actually registered to vote. So if they aren't, they need to do that before January 15th.
Okay.
Once they are, then if they're going to be in the UK in April, then they can apply for a postal ballot. And then they will send a ballot to them by courier. We'll pay for the return, so the return courier is prepaid. So we're talking a couple of days there, a couple of days back. So they can vote comfortably from the UK, and they're off to the races from that perspective. If they're on island, then they can register to vote from over there, and if they're going to be here in April, then they can register then. The deadline for postal ballots, I think, is April 17th. So you have up until then to request the ballot. And
So make sure, the first step, everyone, make sure you register to vote. If you're not sure, if you're on the list for some reason, go on the elections.ky website. You can self-check. If you have any questions, elections office is also there for you, but you can actually look yourself up. Number of really, really important forms. The form 13 is if you have a change, that's name, occupation, or address changes. And right underneath that, it says official list of electors. And that's where you can then put in your name and do a search, and it will show exactly, where you are. It has a list as of October the 1st of all of the 19 constituencies and how many people as of right now, as of October the 1st, I should say, is registered in those specific ones. Total of 23,529 is the total number on the register of electors. So make sure you know where you're at if you're on the list. And if you have any questions, office@elections.ky is their email address. Of course, they're going to be busy, so you got to give them some time. Shaka says, as some of these elder politicians had to go by where they were born. Many of them couldn't have qualified for office in the past. Many were born overseas by Caymanian parents. And that's true for, like I said, most likely back in those days, different medical reasons and so forth. So, Mr. Wesley, thank you so much for coming on the program. I see snow in the background. Is that snow out your window?
That's my wife's pretty curtains back there, so I'll let her know that you like them.
I saw a little dog walking, and I thought I saw some snow, but there you go. So thank you again so much for coming on the program today and educating our people. This is a very, very important topic, folks. We go to the polls, and of course, we want to make sure that everyone is registered. They're going to do online registration. So once that's live, will you let us know so that we can?
It's live. It's live now.
Okay.
But we're making some tweaks to improve it a little bit, so folks can use it now. But we'll have it updated probably by the end of the week.
Okay. All right. Very good. All right. Well, thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
No, thank you very much for having me.
All right, Mr. Wesley Howell, supervisor of elections, folks. Lots of amazing questions. Thank you guys so much for participating. 2025 general election is right around the corner. Gabby, I'm going to encourage you, just like everybody else, to get out there and vote. It's a very, very important first step to changing the process. You know, change isn't guaranteed, but we know for sure that you'll never get change if you don't even vote. So try to educate yourself. You know, we've got candidates who are going to start coming in the program now, telling us what they stand for. You guys need to ask questions. This is the time to ask questions of those individuals, to really put them to the test and figure out, you know, what it is that you want. Before you even get to asking them questions, you have to know what is it that you actually want in a candidate. What are the traits that you're looking for? I know, you know, over the weekend, we did an editorial piece on why character matters. Like, you got to look at individuals who have demonstrated, they're not yet in political office, but in their personal lives, in their business lives, in their professional lives, they have already demonstrated that, you know, they don't necessarily have the character that we would want. I mean, do you want people who've been proven, or sometimes, you know, not proven in a court of law, but have a history of being, you know, aggressive towards women and children? They, another PPM candidate has a known history of being over-sexualized. You know, he's going to total strangers. I think we're off radio now. Let's go ahead and kill that radio connection, because some of this might not be appropriate for radio. But, you know, he has a history of bringing up how big his man parts are. Like, that's who you guys want for elected office? I mean, you've got to decide. If things like that don't matter to you, and you're like, okay, but I still like him. It's a popularity contest a lot of times, unfortunately, is what it comes down to. You guys are not looking at the skills. If you went to a job interview, a lot of these people would not get elected for the job, right? They can't even speak properly. And this is who we're electing to run, not just run and get elected for public office, but be clear. Anyone who runs for public office and is elected can become a minister or even premier of this country. They have to be in a position to go away and represent us on the international stage. They will sit at tables with regional and world leaders, and they are incompetent, right? They can't string a proper sentence together. They have very little understanding of what is happening in the world around them. They don't understand budgeting and finance. And that's why we're now hemorrhaging money as a country, because too many of them are treating it like it's their own money, which it isn't. They're not able to have direct and honest conversations with the people, which sometimes is going to be a conversation that you guys don't want to hear, that you don't like, right? When people tell you, we can't afford these things, we need to rein it in, you mightn't like that, but that's part of budgeting 101, honey child. It's not, you know, money does not grow on trees. It has to come from somewhere. And I feel that a lot of times our elected officials are trying to placate you just to vote for them. And, you know, it's just, it's crazy. And the reality, quite frankly, is that we need to raise the bar. We need to expect better and raise the bar. And so you yourselves, as the electorate, need to educate yourselves and you need to understand certain things. And then that will assist you in truly making better selections and better decisions. It's crazy. It really, really is crazy. But we're not unique in that regard. There are people getting elected all over the world who really, truly are not qualified for public office. And once you understand human nature and you can understand that it really comes down to much of a popularity contest, like who looks the best on social media, we ignore the human population has an immense capacity to ignore a lot of things, and we get on board with a lot of foolishness. So we like the entertaining. I know once election season starts, I see it all. We like the horn blowing and the hats and the theatrics of it all. And we get caught up in that. Like I go, to these meetings. Sometimes I'm covering them. Sometimes I'm just an observer sitting there. And I see what happens. I see how people, yeah, boy, that meeting was hype. Yeah, boy, and I'm thinking, okay, a hype meeting is one thing. What was actually said of substance? Let's analyze the promises that the person made, right? Yeah, they're going to force the banks to do this. Remember I told you guys last time, John, I got to find that clip from I think it was the chamber. It might've been the chamber debate. We cancel all work permits, no more work permits. And everyone came out there, yeah, boy, you tell them, John, that's what we want, Yeah, we sick and tired of these foreigners. And then he gets in there and he's one of the biggest offenders of taking out work permits in his company. He not hiring no Caymanians, hardly 99.99999% are not Caymanians. Come on now. And when he's involved in certain deals with larger companies, certain government deals, the hiccup is, we don't want any immigration controls. We just want to be able to do whatever it is that we want to do. And so during the election season, you all get caught up in the theatrics of it all and all of the foolishness. And it just does not make any sense because the substance of what they're saying is fundamentally flawed and can't happen. So, of course, when you elect those people to public office, you're going to be disappointed, naturally, because what they said isn't something that they could deliver on. It was just pure nonsense, pure chat, and nothing else. So naturally you get disappointed then, right? We got to cut the fat from the whole situation. All right, Miss Angel, you can't vote online. You can get registered to vote online, but if you're overseas, you have to do it by postal ballot. So students, you have to do it by postal ballot. As he mentioned, there is a deadline for the postal ballot. So make sure that you, meet that deadline. So if you already registered to vote, you can request a postal ballot. And again, there are forms and stuff on the website in which you do that, Angel, and then the office will send you the postal ballot and you send that back to them. So that's how you vote if you're overseas. If you're on island and for some reason you can't physically get out to the polling station, they will arrange for mobile voting. But again, you have to apply for that or have someone assist you in applying for mobile voting where they basically come to you to get you all voted. All right. So Ms. Pat says, we the people must set the requirements and standards for what we want for our leaders. That's right. And ultimately hold them accountable, right? Election rhetoric is coming at you and it's going to be coming at you strong. You've got to be prepared to hold people accountable. So Gabby says, see, broken promise, that's all they give you. But Gabby, that's our fault. If you sit down and you ever believe John, when he said that, that would be your fault. Because nobody in their right mind would think that we're going to be able to stop work permits completely. The country would come to a halt and it would be total devastation. So the fact that the voters sit down and listen to that nonsense and cheer him on his stupidity and then vote him into public office, knowing that that's not even a possibility, is a problem. This is what I'm saying. It comes down to us, the voters, to say, this not going to work. This don't make no sense. This don't go so. That's our responsibility, folks. Get with the program. And that requires you educating yourself. Because of course, if you know that isn't a possibility, and that means that he's just speaking fluff, and that's nothing but hot air, and that he's a person of hot air, wouldn't you think twice about voting for someone like that? As opposed to someone who brings something that's a bit more measured and makes sense and is balanced, right? So when people are extremists and they come with all these things that they want to do, you as the voter have to know, what are the chances that that's ever going to happen? Slim to none, right? Chris Saunders, another perfect example of someone who, y'all need to think twice about putting back in public office. His latest proposal of taxing foreign property owners didn't take into consideration a lot of different factors as it relates to that, how that would impact not just the real estate market, but an entire trickle-down effect. And so that was voted down in Parliament. They said, nope, not today, Bobo. The opposition didn't agree with it. The government didn't agree with it. Very few people agreed with it. So, sometimes people are throwing things out there that, again, on the face of it, makes you think, oh, yeah, they're pro-Caymanian, or this is something that's going to help Caymanians. But like I always say, oftentimes with these proposals, there's a trickle-down effect. And the trickle-down effect impacts Caymanians in a negative way. So something can't, on the face of it, be for a Caymanian if the ultimate and the trickle-down effect is going to mean that we're the ones who are going to suffer as a result of it. We have to think very, very carefully about what that means. Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Morning. Hey, Merry Christmas
Santa,
again.
Santa want me to come by you this
Listen, I'm about to say. Christmas is on.
First of all, let me say a big thank you to you for going out to the airport yesterday to cover Jordan's arrival.
Oh, it was so beautiful.
Now you're going to listen, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
You're going to listen because I don't know if you noticed about me or not. I'm a sports person.
Well, I knew you were into cricket for sure.
Oh, I'm into sports.
Just sports generally.
Sports.
Okay.
I am into sports. I'm a former athlete, so sports is my passion. And let me tell you how important it is in my life. I will not be with anyone unless they have an appreciation for sports. I don't care how rich he is. I don't care how gorgeous he is.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. All right.
He gotta be able to sit down and watch some sporting events with you and enjoy it.
He at least has to appreciate sports.
Yes.
Otherwise, that's going to be a major problem because he would never understand my passion for sports.
Wow. Okay. I did not know that.
That's why I've been encouraging you to go and watch cricket with Marlon. Anyway, let me stop there before I give up more of my secrets.
Yes. So we know some of the criteria now. At least that's one criteria.
Oh yeah. I mean, after class, manners, respect, brought up, sports is right up there in capital letters. So I just wanted to say, and I'm not ashamed to say, because I don't normally do this, but like I said, I'm one of these people, I get very emotional about it, okay? And so I want to say that I actually cried. Yes, I cried. My eyes were swollen because I was crying, because I was rewatching the rewatch, and I kept getting all emotional all over again.
Yes.
But, so I just want to say thank you so much for covering that for us. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it. Otherwise, I'd have been there because his mom is my friend.
Yes.
And these are people I know. And I think it even makes it that much more exciting when it's someone you know. But I mean, even if he wasn't someone I knew, just the fact that he's a Caymanian child, touched my heart so much.
Absolutely.
So the other piece that I want to say now is, another piece, two more pieces to say, and that is, I do not think, and I'm going to say, I do not think that Cayman really understands the magnitude of what Jordan has just done. Okay?
It's amazing.
I'm hoping, no, I'm serious, and I'm hoping that they will very quickly do their research and reward him accordingly.
Absolutely.
The other thing that I want to rectify is that Jordan is not world champion. Jordan is the world record holder.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he won at the world championships. He won the gold, but surpassed that. So he's not just the world champion.
Mm-hmm.
I had to correct an article I saw from the Compass where they called him the world champion. And I wrote and said, he's the world record holder.
That's right.
Not just the world champion. A big difference, okay? All right. Moving along. And then I have to say, I was sadly disappointed. And I don't know why this happened. I mean, I could imagine. So disappointed that Jordan arrived after such a historic moment, not just for Jordan, but for the Cayman Islands, that he arrived home on American Airlines and not Cayman Airways. No, that I would never get over.
Someone else mentioned that yesterday during the live stream. I don't know if you guys caught that. Yes.
Okay. Now you see, this is history.
Yes.
And when our grandchildren go back and they look at this film, they would see Cayman Airways. They will see American Airlines. And I don't care. I do not care. This should never have happened.
Yeah.
If they had come, I'm sure it was a breakdown in the lack of knowledge, in breakdown in communication, because I imagine he had a ticket bought to come home. But that should have been intercepted. Okay?
Yep.
Only our flight carrier should have brought him home. That should have started from the time he went through the door of the departure, the entrance of the departure lounge, onto the plane and down our side. So they dropped the ball big time there.
Yeah. And they did do a water salute, but unfortunately they did that before the media was out on the tarmac, because when I got there, I said I knew I saw the trucks and stuff, the fire trucks coming out. They had a full police entourage out there and all that. But I'm like, where is the fire salute? And they're like, oh, they did that already. And I said, well, that's interesting, because I don't know how they did that. So we didn't get to capture that part, unfortunately. But I agree with you. And someone else in the moment said the exact same thing. Why is he not coming off of Cayman Airways? I'll ask the question.
And you know why I know? They don't understand the magnitude of it. Another place where they drop the ball. All of our school children, especially those who are involved in swimming, they should have been bussed out to the airport in their uniforms.
Yes.
Flying the Cayman flag to welcome him home. You heard what he said yesterday.
Yep. And it was put together very last minute, because even yesterday morning, almost 10 o'clock, we were just getting the official flyer from the ministry. They should have had that done from Sunday. I mean, government seems to be slow sometimes.
I'll be honest.
But yeah.
I think that if it wasn't for the comments on social media, I don't think they even realized he was coming home for Christmas. That's my belief. But anyway,
yes.
But I want to say,
let me be fair to them, because I like to be fair and balanced. The last time he won, and this was during the Olympics, he didn't want anything. So he did reach out to us, because obviously we wanted to do a big welcome, and he said no, that he was just, and I think it's his personality. He seems to actually, he seems to be an introvert. So this might be a lot more difficult for him. Even yesterday, somebody said, oh man, he looks uncomfortable. And I think his personality is, if you're an introvert, all this attention doesn't actually make you feel good. So I think during the Olympics, they were trying to be respectful of his wishes.
That's one part of it. And let me just say this, okay? If you know his mom and his dad, you'd know where that comes from.
Yes.
They're humble human beings. And so are the children. But this is different than him coming home from the Olympics. He wasn't bringing home a gold medal, and he certainly wasn't the world record holder. And this is what people need to understand now. he is now separated from the pack. He belongs to us. We have to embrace him, not just as a people, but as a government.
Yes.
He is now the ambassador. He is the face of the Cayman Islands. His face is going to be on billboards, not just in Cayman, but throughout the world. This is a world record.
Yes.
So
now, Miss Brenda, you'll be happy to know the following. Two comments have come in that you might be interested in. I have reached out to a representative from our national airline saying, why didn't he come home on Cayman Airways? And they said it's probably because he already had his Christmas vacation flights booked from Tennessee. We're going to work with him and looking at a sponsorship for him in recognition of his incredible achievement. So people are listening. Quite a few people said, please give Miss Brenda a kaboom. Another person says that, can you please ask Miss Brenda Archer if she's interested in running in Bordentown West? She would make a good representative. I've never seen or met her, but she would make a good representative.
Listen to me. You know, for many years I've had, let me just answer that truthfully though. For so many years I've had people approach me about running. Not in Bordentown West, but even before they singled it out. And let me tell you what my answer to that is. I don't see myself as a politician, okay? However, I am one of these very strong people, as I guess many people have now discovered, and I'm always willing to support someone that I think that would be a good representative. So when that person comes along, I would strongly support them. But as for me running for that seat, I don't see me doing that unless God hasn't told me that one yet. So that's my answer to that. But thank you to the person.
All right.
And, but I just wanted to say, just coming back to Jordan, yes, you did recognize that he's humble. Okay, he's very shy. He's very humble. That's who he is. And Jordan will eventually understand that now he's not just on Cayman stage, but the world stage.
Yes.
And he will have to do interviews. And I'm going to say something, and I hope people understand this in the context of which I'm saying it. Usain Bolt is also a very humble human being. Usain is shy of cameras and so on. But Usain had to learn that came with his achievements. Okay? But Usain would have rather not have to get in the front of any camera. Give him the track and he was happy. And I know Usain Bolt, so I know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
So they will grow into it until he retires. And the other thing that I want to say is that now that Jordan has accomplished what he has accomplished, I hope that our government is also taking note that if you invest in our people, this is what we can bring home. Okay? Invest in them. Whether it's football, whether it's cricket, whether it's track, whether it's swimming. We just need to invest in our children. It's a lot of talent born here, but it goes to waste because there's no financial support and there's no encouragement.
Yes.
People have to work for a living. So they need to make a manual from this one now and take some great lessons from this.
Yep.
And most of all, get that holiday ready for Jordan. Get that key to the country made, because all of that comes with this territory. He's deserving of it. This is part of the reward. Get that piece of land bought for him, build his house with his pool. Okay? Jordan don't want to be a celebrity, but he has to be rewarded. And please remember, if Cayman does not recognize him and treat him right, there are other countries that will certainly clean him.
All right. Thank you very much.
And a big congratulations
yes.
to Jordan and to his sister.
Yes, she did personal best as well. Yes.
That's right. And thank you very much, Sandra, for covering it.
Yes. Thank you, Miss Brenda. Have a good one. All right. So, yeah, I mean, it was a wonderful event yesterday. And of course, I wish more people were there, but it had a beautiful turnout. There was a beautiful turnout. And again, it was a little bit last minute. I think a lot of you just heard about it yesterday morning. So perhaps you could not have, made the necessary arrangements. That's why I felt it was necessary to live stream it. My apologies for the initial issues on Facebook with the streaming. Facebook is always changing stuff, and good Lord, I can't always keep up with the Facebook changes. But apparently I can't live stream in landscape mode anymore. I don't know when that happened. I'm actually going to test it out after the show because I wasn't aware that change had happened on the app, the Facebook app, from my phone. So I was in landscape mode because then you get a broader view. And all of a sudden you guys were like, no, the cameraman it's all messed up. And I was like, what? So anyway, we quickly tried to sort that out, and then we had to swap our microphones as well. Thankfully, I was thinking ahead. I was only going to take the one mic, and something said to me, take the hardwired one as well, just in case. And it's a good thing I did, honey child, because y'all know audio is the bane of my existence. It drives me crazy. And it's something that when it comes to live streaming outside of the studio, audio is very, very difficult to get right. And it definitely improved. We were able to conduct the interview, and I think a lot of you were able to hear him. So please go watch the videos. There are multiple ones that we did of the live. So we did it, with the plane, him disembarking the plane. They did take all of the passengers off first, and then they, after that, they actually allowed the athletes to come off last. Someone in the government said that they respected his wishes. He already had his ticket booked. So, he wanted to use that. I mean, I don't know what the logistics are, if he had a return ticket or whatever. Another person made the point that they should have flown a Cayman Airways airplane to wherever he was connecting in the U.S. Cayman Pride is what it's all about. So again, knowing him, he probably did not want all of that fanfare. But, it is what it is. But to Ms. Brenda's point, she's not the only person who was wondering why he did not come back on our national carrier. So on Saturday, the minister mentioned that they're going to be having an event. I think he originally said Friday, but it's the 21st, which is actually Saturday. And they're going to be having an event in Cardinal Avenue. I'm still waiting for them to release the details of that, but get prepared. Clear your calendar from now for something on Saturday. They're going to be celebrating that. Another kaboom. Magdalene says, please give Ms. Brenda kaboom. That he has options. So very, very good. Miss Lucille says 1000%, Miss Brenda, government should take over. I love your talk. Strong Will says that there should be a picture with Jordan with our Cayman Air carrier. So as I said, I've already reached out to them as Miss Brenda was speaking, and they said that there are things in the works. So it's got to be challenging for him though, because the dude just wants to come home and go fishing. That's how you heard what his mama said yesterday. And the guy who takes him fishing was there because he's like, the first thing he wants to do when he gets off this plane is just go out in the water, just go fishing. Because he's just like a low key kind of guy, but to Miss Brenda's point, honey child, now you're a national hero. Now you gotta, for the time being, you're it. You're a celebrity. So, and I know that there's a lot that comes with that. It's so interesting when you're in a public space, even just thinking about myself just a little bit. I'm no gold medalist or whatever, but a lot of people know me and I go places and people like always like, I know y'all think I'm an extrovert, and I define myself as I don't think there is such a thing as an introverted extrovert. I don't know if that makes sense, but like probably 90% of the time, I'm actually an introvert. I love my own company. I don't hang out with a lot of people. My friend list, let me show y'all how small it is. Hold on. I'm going to show you how small that friend list is, honey. Yeah. It's like this small. Okay. Y'all see that little piece of paper? I can put the names right there. So, okay. That's me. I don't really go to parties. I'm not into the clubbing. I don't really like crowds. If you see me out at like a function, Taste of Cayman or whatever, I normally go because I'm like working. So part of it's like work and I need to cover it and whatever. I'm not really that person. I love my own space. I love just like chilling out on the sofa, yeah. That's why I love dinners with like my friends. Like I'll go out to lunch with them. I don't need to be like, in a party environment to really be happy. I don't like that kind of stuff most of the time. So, what's it called? An omnivert? I got to look that one up. But you know what I mean? And it takes energy, like mental and physical energy, to even be in that space where you're going to be meeting and greeting a lot of people and you're having to like shake hands and take pictures. Big shout out to the Filipino community, because I know that anytime they invite me to an event, I'm going to get a lot of that. Like, oh my God, Miss Sandy, I want a picture. And, I got to put myself in a zone. So I can only imagine, because I think he's definitely introvert. I can only imagine for someone who's even more introverted, being on the world stage like he is now, exactly, how that feels. So I think be respectful. If you see him out, during the holidays with his family and he's not at a public event, just ease off the man. Let him do his own thing. Let him enjoy. That's why, again, my invite list for my Christmas events is pretty slim, and it's the same people every single year, pretty much. If you ever get an invite to that, honey child, you special. You guys remember back in the day, I used to cook all the time when I was in my apartment in Newlands. I would love to cook. And I don't know how to cook small. That's a problem. And so I'd have all this food and I was always happy to be like, oh my God, Sandy, can I get some brownies? Can I get this? Can I get that? I used to do the s'mores cupcakes and stuff. People love those. They're like really, really good. And I'm like, sure, but you're not coming inside my house. You're at the front door. I will pack you a food. If you want multiple plates, no problem. And I hand you the plate of food at the front door. Because once you cross that threshold of my house, you're a different person. You're like in a different category for me. And I don't really invite too many people into my personal space. So, I'm happy to feed people because I'm like, that's what food is for. Food is for eating. Food is for sharing. And, if I have food, I give it away. But that don't mean that you're going to come and sit at my dining room table and eat it with me. That's a different situation. That's very different. That's why I also I don't break bread with a lot of people either. Somebody invited me this week. I'd like to have coffee with you. And I said, why? I ain't trying to be rude, but I don't vibe with this person at all. Like I've actually blocked them on other stuff. I'm surprised they're still reaching out to me, knowing that I've blocked them on WhatsApp. I've blocked them on YouTube. And then you're going to be messaging me, can we meet? Why? Why do you want to meet? Oh, I want to talk about that. Why? Like my brain can't process the logic of that at all. And so if you really know me, I don't sit down and have coffee with any and everybody. I don't break bread with any and everybody. Business, if I have clients, we got to suck that up and we'll meet with people. Outside of that, even politicians, some of them I can't break bread with. I remember one, he was kind of upset with me one time. We kissed and made up since then. And he was having a conversation. Oh, Sandy, you said this and you really hurt my feelings. And I said, well, I didn't intend to hurt your feelings. That certainly was not my intent. And I get it. Sometimes I can be a little bit, it is the cold hard truth. So yes, sometimes it comes across harsh, honey child. And I said, but listen, you got to understand that I don't hate you. I don't dislike you. There's no bad vibes, because if there were, you and I wouldn't be sitting down here right now at lunch, even having this conversation. So feel me and understand where I'm coming from. I understand your feelings were hurt, and that was certainly not my intent to hurt your feelings. But also know that if I really felt a particular way about you and felt like you were an evil person and meant this country really bad, like I do some of these candidates, we would never sit down and have lunch. We would even sit down for coffee. You couldn't broker a meeting. You heard what I tell them? Don't drop off your fruitcake to my house, because I will literally take it and pelt it back out the door. That's when you and I are done, and there's no coming back from it. That's just the type of person I am. It gives you indigestion when you sit down and you meet with people that you don't even like. Don't break bread with them people, honey child. Eating to me is a very important thing, happiness should come with that process. So I'm not eating with nobody that I don't like. Shaka Zulu says, I think Shaka is understanding me, says to accommodate the individual circumstances, it shows a higher level of intellect. Well, I don't know, but all I know is, Shaka says someone who strategically, albeit unaware of the ability to switch between introvert and extrovert. Yeah, I'm very much aware of my personality in that regard. Jane says, I have to disagree. Oh, Google Usain Bolt and the word swagger always shows up next to it. Jordan is still part of a college team, swim team, and talked about returning to Tennessee to finish his last semester of his senior year. He hasn't entered his professional career yet, and all that comes with that, assuming that's what he wants to pursue. So what does that mean, Jean, that you don't think that he should get acknowledged for the accomplishments? I'm a little bit confused by that. So clarify that one for me. Jean goes on to say, my ex-husband, whom I met at Stanford, played basketball there. The team went to the Final Four while we were there, won the PAC 10 all 4 years, and then, unfortunately, the rest got cut off. So just clarify for me what you mean by that, because I'm not quite sure. Caller, good morning.
Good morning. I just want to support a lot of what Ms. Brenda said. She had a lot of valid points, and it is very, very, very important, her last comment that she made in relation to the fact that there will be many other countries, especially Caribbean countries, that would not hesitate to claim Jordan. If you have any power pull with the government, after Usain tore up the Olympics and made records and all that, there was not many places in Jamaica that you would go that you would not see massive billboards with him all over the place. We need to do that in Cayman. I know Jordan doesn't necessarily want it, but let's give him the accolades he deserves, because not only is he good for our sporting industry, but he's going to be huge in tourism as well. So let's, if you can influence the government at all, yes, we need both billboards in each district, especially along 7 Mile Strip throughout Cayman Bay, and have him displayed billboards all over the place. Because, I mean, I can't even explain how I feel about him and his accomplishments, and I'm sure the population shares all of that with me. So let's get behind him and give him all the land and all the house and everything, the pool that Brenda said, but let's also definitely make him a public figure. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
That's my 2 cents.
Appreciate it. Thanks very much. Yes, I mean, yeah, it comes with the territory. So, you know, wow, there's another accident in Spots, honey child. Oh my God, what the hell is going on? What? Wow, y'all are, oh, I'm scared to go out there. I got a 12:30 meeting today and I don't even want to drive. Oh God, I want to stay home. Can I do it virtually? Y'all are some of the worst drivers. Jesus. Oh my Lord. Jean says, I mean that he shouldn't be expected to be seasoned in speaking to the press. Oh, no, I think that Miss Brenda's just saying, you know, he's going to have to get used to that. Not that he's seasoned, but it now comes with the territory. And I think he did a fabulous job yesterday. He doesn't have any problem speaking to the press. We asked him a few questions, and I love his answer when I said, you know, young people are looking up to you. What advice would you give them? And the advice was to be unique, be yourself. Yes, you can have role models, but don't try to emulate what he's done. Like, you know, records are made to be broken. So very, very sensible young man. Jean says a lot of actors are actually introverts. Strong Wilt says, Sandy, you have to learn to forgive people. This really, trust me, Strong Wilt, when I tell you it has nothing to do with that. I can have no beef with you in terms of forgiving you, and we're still not going to break bread. Because I don't think you should be breaking bread with any and everybody. I'm just saying. So it really has nothing to do with that at all. Damien says it's an ambivert. It's the cross of both. And we've got another person who's listening to the show and says, actually, you're an ambivert. I'm one. Noun, ambivert, plural, noun, ambivert, a person who has a balance of extrovert and introvert features in their personality. Someone said, please add my name to your food list. They want to come over for brownies. Another person says, I just saw my name, number 2. Lord have mercy. Oh my God. Shows what parental investment can do as well. It's not all on the government. Jordan's parents have played a significant role in his accomplishments, and I would dare say probably the most significant role. Another person says he's an inspiration to our youth, and God knows they need it now. Yes. This person says, by the way, that piece of paper is not big enough to hold my first name. Ay. Yes, honey chair. Brenda says, Jane, respectfully, your husband isn't in the same category as Jordan or Usain. What a hot mess. Damien says it's a reminder for the youth to dream big. Yes, I think the point is taken, Miss Jane. We're not going to split hairs on that one. Gabby says, Anna need to realize it's not what y'all want, it's what Jordan wants. If he wants a brand, then let him build it for himself. Don't push the fame on him. Make him get comfortable first, because this is all new to him. Let him get comfortable. All right. Strong Will says, Sandy, what about I come over for Christmas dinner? You can't come over without an invitation. Sorry. What a hot mess. All right. Yes, I tell you. Ooh, and Christmas dinner this year is going to be so delicious. We're going to have so much food. Oh my God. The food is going to be out of waste. I'm trying to decide. I'd like to make something new. So this time for Thanksgiving, I tried a corn casserole. It was actually pretty good. I must say, it wasn't bad at all. I liked it. I'm thinking of doing a new dessert. So I might do something new on the dessert table, but we always have so much dessert. Oh my God, out of waste. So a particular member of parliament got to taste my Thanksgiving dinner this year. And you know my custard top recipe that I modify, so I don't know what to call it. They tasted that and they said, you made this? You made this? And I said, yeah. And they said, well, what is it? And I said, well, I don't know, because it's like custard top, but it's not really custard top, because I don't like the top on the custard top. So I kind of modify the recipe. And they're like, yeah, man, this can go on. This can go on. This tastes good. And then they tasted my tres leche banana bread. And they were like, I don't normally like banana bread. Not banana bread, bread pudding. Tres leche bread pudding. And they said, I don't normally like a bread pudding, but this one is actually really good. So I used a hard dough bread for that. And so, yeah, I need to start buying hard dough bread from, what today is 6 days. I don't need it quite so fresh. So probably like 4 days out, I'll buy it and I'll do the tres leche. It's good. It has the dulce de leche on the bottom. And then, honey child, you have that with some nice, you know what it's good with? Some nice quality vanilla ice cream, vanilla bean ice cream. Oh, Lord. Yeah, boy. And of course, the brownies, Gigi had some ideas for the brownies. She's like, Mom, can we do, what do you call it? The marshmallows. So I was like, sure, let's throw some marshmallows in there. So we did some marshmallow infused brownies. They were actually pretty good. So let me show you some of the desserts that we had for Thanksgiving. So I'll repeat a lot of these for Christmas. I saw Soka, I saw your comment about Christmas beef. She's like, is that different than any beef any other time of the year? You know what we mean, but Soka don't eat meat. So we can't expect Soka to truly understand the food situation. But look, so this one in the front, that's the corn casserole. In the back was my, I grew up in the States for 15 years. So I'm going to be honest with you. When it comes to certain things, especially Thanksgiving and Christmas, I love my turkey and ham and all the traditional trimmings. And then I throw in a little bit Cayman style beef to, rice and beans to add the Caribbean flavor. But I got to have my traditional American Thanksgiving stuff and Christmas dinner. So that one behind the corn casserole is my sweet potato casserole. And so Marlon, he don't know nothing about that. He's like, we Caymanians and Jamaicans around. Yeah, we don't know nothing about no sweet potato casserole, no sweet potato pie. I'm like, y'all don't know what you're missing, honey chill. My aunt made the best sweet potato pie ever. Oh my God, my favorite. So so I got to have my candied yams. I'm a candied yam kind of girl. So this time I followed another recipe that kind of made it more like a candied yam casserole. Like it wasn't the bigger chunks. It was okay, but I'm going to go back to my chunks. I prefer the bigger chunks. So I'm going to redo that one for Christmas. And then these are some of the desserts. So top right in the front, that's my version of custard top, but it ain't really custard top, but it is good. I'm telling you, people love that dessert. Oh my God. The best. The 4 pans over on the left, those are all brownies with nuts, without nuts, with coconut shavings, with marshmallows. So we kind of mixed it all up so people could get different things. All good. And then bottom right at the top, no, top right, sorry. That is the tres leche bread pudding. Yeah. So very, very good as well. So what you do is you flip it when you cut it. And then the bottom is the dulce de leche. So it's like all goodness on the bottom. Yep. You eat that warm. It's a nice, like I said, it's a nice ice cream. I got to get a nice bucket of ice cream this year to keep on the, and of course, stuffing, cornbread stuffing with walnuts. Oh yeah. You know what? Oh my God. Stick a pin. Jim, there's a guy from East End. I'm not going to tell y'all who he is because I need to get in my order first. He makes a stuffing that is like a liver pate stuffing. Oh, I need to message my cousin. What's his name again? I need his number. I need the man number for the stuffing. Oh my God. That is so good. Delicious. Somebody says he does not need to be a national hero. We have enough of them. He can get another award like commander. Oh, Lord have mercy. What about the beef? Yes, we're going to have that on. So, yes, let me ask your beef question. So do you guys put your beef in the oven or on the stovetop? So I was shown how to cook because, again, I didn't know how to cook Cayman style beef. I'm going to be the first to admit. When I came back to Cayman, I had been living in the States for 15 years, so I didn't know how to cook it. So I was like, okay, show me how to do it. And so Miss Laura from East End, well, she's actually a Georgetowner properly. This is Ira Walton's daughter. She said, Sandy, come. I'm going to show you what you need to do. First, you got to make sure you get the right cut of beef. I said, all right. She showed me the beef. And then you got to make sure you get a little bit of piece of fat on the bottom because you're not adding any oils. You don't add no water. You don't add no oils, none of that. You're going to make it produce its own, what would we call that now? Its own, what we call that now? Like its own kind of water and gravy and all that kind of stuff. So you're not adding nothing, have a little piece of fat in there. And I like my beef pretty lean. And so the extra little piece of fat at the bottom is gonna, and then she showed me all the different seasonings. Now I know some of y'all Caymanians like, no, that's too much seasoning, whatever. But I'm telling you, I put the seasonings, the more the better. And I put that under and I season that good. You marinate that the night before. Yes. And I actually you gotta start early because all night long, that beef is gonna be in the oven. Oh, if you got a gas stove, make sure you call home gas and top up because you're gonna need it. I gotta double check, make sure I got a full tank of gas for Christmas cooking. And because I got a gas stove, honey child. Yep, and I season it good, marinate it, and then I put it in the oven, got my nice big Dutch pot. And I use one big pot. Yeah, honey child. And you can't put nothing else in when the beef is in. So I can't be putting desserts or anything in. So I got to plan ahead. Like I'll do my desserts first, and then I put in the beef, turn that on low, and go to bed. And that'll cook for the 12 hours overnight if you're getting 12 hours of sleep. And child, that just falls off. The meat just, it comes off by itself. And it is so amazing. Good morning, caller.
Good morning again.
And the whole neighborhood be smelling a beef. People be messaging me in the neighborhood. Oh, Sandy, I can smell that beef. Oh my gosh. Its own rendering. Thank you, Anthony. Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Sandra.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm doing something this morning that I really hate doing, which is having to call twice.
Okay.
Now, I want to set the record straight on something, and I am making it very clear. I will not be engaging in any nonsensical issues. I said what I said this morning regarding Jordan. I am a Caymanian. I am not Caymanian by marriage. I'm not Caymanian by anything else. I am a Caymanian. And unless you are a Caymanian, and whom is where the heart is, and you understand how we, the Caymanians, feel about what Jordan has done, let me suggest, stay out of this conversation. I don't want any paper Caymanian responding to me and insulting what I have said about Jordan and now personally attacking me about how self-important I am. I didn't call to say anything about me. I spoke about Jordan. So if Jean Mosley doesn't like what I said, then she can sit down, listen to the conversation, and keep quiet. But don't send me any messages about what her husband did in college or what he didn't do. And I did not say that Jordan has to do anything. I simply said what I know of him, and now that he's reached this stage in his life, what he'll have to work himself into. And I will repeat, not everybody is for the camera, but there are things that force people to have to do things that come with their jobs, and simply put, with the territory, okay? He hasn't got an agent or any of those things, so he speaks for himself at this point. And I'm not going to compare him to anybody that won a game in college or anything. This is way beyond that. And unless you are a Caymanian, you would not understand the magnitude of the pride that we, the Caymanians, feel. And I will not have any paper holder try to insult me about what I expressed this morning regarding Jordan. And that goes to his parents as well. So leave it alone now, because I don't want to get ugly with anyone. And I don't think anyone wants to see the animal in me wake up. Okay? So leave it where it is. Don't write me anymore. And if you're not happy for Jordan, that's your business. I am ecstatic about what he did.
Lord have mercy. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, let's leave it there. Poll question. Lordy. Cayman style beef, oven or stovetop? Let's see. Lavana says stovetop for me. Strong Will says stovetop. Shaka says stovetop overnight for Cayman style beef. Looks like stovetops might have it. Debbie says, Sandy, only us Caymanians understand candied yams. I don't think Caymanians really eat candied yams like that, do you know? No, that's more of an American dish, girl. I think those of us who lived abroad, like in the States, love a candied yams. Oh, God, they'd be so good. We'd be like them Southerners. My aunt would be like, we're going to have some collard greens. I say, yeah, honey child, bring it on. All right, cast your vote, scan the code. I'll put the QR link there for you. Claudia, Miss Lucia says on the stove is what they call pot roast. Claudia says I've done both on stovetop and oven, but I prefer to do mine in a nice roaster in the oven. Yes, the natural juices. It comes out good in the oven. Oh Lord, we got a scammer God loves in the comment section talking about PayPal running out of gas. Sorry, honey child, we got to block you. We can't help you with no gas money. We're poor here in the Cayman Islands. We can't afford gas ourselves. Go on with your foolishness. Stovetop in a Dutch pot, says Damien. Didn't Cayman have a Cayman style beef winner at the Cayman Cook-Off by Caymanian over the summer? I don't know about over the summer, but we had Taste the Cayman did the Cayman beef competition. So far, stovetops have it. Caboose for me, says Marshall. Where you getting a caboose from? Lucia says stovetop and pressure it. You use a pressure cooker? I don't even own a pressure cooker. Well, let me put it this way. I think I now do own one. I see Miss Stacy using it for rice and beans, but it's one of these fancy things that like is a pressure cooker and everything in one. But I've never used a pressure cooker in my life because Miss Laura said you turn that on low and you just make that cook for 12 hours. Basically, you're cooking it overnight. And boy, listen, that wakes you up in the morning. You know, you don't need no alarm clock, honey child. That wakes you up first thing in the morning. Yep. Let me put the poll question in the WhatsApp chat. That's gonna wake you up. And the smell, the aroma of it all is, oh my God, so amazing. The whole neighborhood can smell it. So Cayman beef, stovetop, or oven. We're going to get to the bottom of that one. This person says, in the natural fat, no oils, no water added, just like turtle stew or national dish, not Kentucky. And yeah, seasons, lemon pepper, cayenne pepper, etc. Child, you just throw in one Scotch bonnet. This person says, yep, you make the beef yield in its own liquids. Taste the Cayman release excerpt. Guest judges, Mr. Alvin McLaughlin, Chef Mark Lee from the Governor's House, the Honorable Minister Isaac Rankin awarded Elizabeth Larson the best Cayman heavy cake in the All Things Caymanian Community Chefs Competition, with James Ebanks being awarded the best Cayman style beef. And I like how you can go and you can sample it and taste it yourself. So this person says, I sometimes put mine in the slow cooker too. My daughter's cooking a good beef too. Yes. Nice. Stovetop oven is for lazy people. How can that be? You're doing the same thing. You're just letting it cook. You don't touch it. Once you're done, that's it. So you put it in the stove, it's the same thing. I don't know. She told me stovetop, honey child. So, I don't know. We can ask some of them old heads how they do it. Somebody says you need to do corn in coconut milk and then add cheese to it. Oh, corn in coconut milk and then add cheese. That's like another corn casserole? And then what do? You bake it? Huh. Interesting. Okay. Like I said, I like to try new recipes. So far it looks like most of you are doing it stovetop. Oh my gosh, I feel like I should call Miss Laura. She getting my beef sorted for me too. I told her I think about 7 pounds because we can have so many other meats. Yeah, I think 7 pounds should be good. This person said lemon pepper. Holy Christ, we not putting that no Cayman style beef. Where's Jordan? Yeah. You know who we need to call? Miss Elrita. Miss Elrita would tell us. I bet you she probably does it. You know what? Hold on. I can call Miss Elrita right now. I want her answer to this. I want to know if she does it stovetop or hold on. Let me see how this go now. I'm curious to see how she cooks it. All right, you all know I got Miss Arita on speed dial. Yeah, honey child, I getting her to make me some turtle. All right, let's call Miss Arita and find out. I can see what she say. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, the number you are calling is unable to accept your call at this time. Goodbye. Sorry.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Let me call on her home number. That's her mobile number. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Listen, and people who've had my Cayman stop you, they'd be like, yes, Sandy.
So she asked for them. Hello.
Hello. Good morning.
Morning.
How you doing, honey?
I'm okay.
Yeah, it's Sandra. Miss Arita there?
Uh-huh.
Let me speak with her, please. I got an important question about Cayman style beef for her.
Okay, let me take the phone to her.
All right, darling. Thanks. That is true. So Shaka Zulu said, don't forget, it was long before we had ovens.
Hello.
Miss Arita, good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
I'm not too bad.
You know who this is?
Mm-hmm, Sandra.
So listen, we have a question for you. We have you on the radio and we have a debate going, right? Cayman style beef, oven or stove top?
Stove top.
Stove top. Oh my gosh. I puts mine in the oven.
No, Cayman style. You put the roast beef in the oven. Cayman style beef, you just get it and you cut it up. It's more like the not steak, the other side of the beef, like. And you starch it, you season it up, you wash it, you vinegar and lime.
Mm-hmm.
And you season it up with the seasoning, and you put it on, you drop one little bit of water in it, and you put it on, and then you just keep it low and make it heal its own water and cook itself till it gets tender.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've been doing mine in the stove top, and that comes out so delicious. I mean, not the stove top, the oven. I put mine in the oven, and I cover it, and I just leave it.
Yeah. Well, you could do it like that, too.
And it falls right off, boy. All night.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's your advice then. You would do it stove top.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, darling. I appreciate it.
Okay. Okay. Then.
And don't forget my turtle for Christmas, please.
I'm not getting none.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
I know. I say I was gonna tell Sheldon. I said, give me your number. I not get none, darling.
I'm gonna have to pull some strings and see what I can do then.
Yeah.
All right. I gotta let you know.
Okay.
All right, honey. Thank you.
Okay then.
All right, darling. What? We can't get turtle for Christmas? Oh, Jesus. What connections I have? Who got turtle? I'll pay for it. Good price. Anybody got some turtle they're willing to sell me? Now, don't be like Frank McLaughlin and try and sell me no mop head and pass it off as a turtle, because that not gonna work. Jim says oven or stove top, just put it in my belly. He say, I don't care, I'll just eat it. That's a good point, Shaka, about the oven, but I was shown to put mine in the oven, child, so I can keep doing it because it comes out awfully good. I'm ordering special orders some turtle stew for Christmas. Oh my gosh. All right, let me see now. Okay, let me see. Lord. Yep, there's another accident by Spots Beach. Lord Jesus. What is wrong with you people? Oh my God. All right, we're going to post both of these accidents, I guess. Y'all need to be careful out there. I'm giving y'all advice to be careful. It looks like it's making it worse. All right, let me put the first one up. This is spots. There was another one since then. Hold on now. Let me see where this picture went. My goodness. Wow. Wow. Spots Beach area. Oh my gosh. I mean, somebody wasn't looking and the next person was probably speeding and kaboom. They just went into each other. Like, wow. Oh my God. That car, is that a Toyota? Now that car is a write-off. What? You can't recover, not even the engine definitely gone. Oh my God. Oh my God. That's a Honda? Oh man. Okay, look at these pictures, folks. What is going on our roadways? Hold on. Shall we go from talking about beef to seeing this hot mess on the roadway? Look at this. Oh my gosh. This is crazy. Hold on, honey child. Let me show you. So there was the one south side. Look at that. Look at that poor Honda. Everything mashed up on the front end. Look like the wheel almost came off completely. Jeez, peace. Whoa. No, sir. I don't know what to say. I mean, my gosh. This is not good. So we have that angle. Then this is the next angle. Oh my God, look at the mangled metal. I hope everybody's okay. Glass all broken up. Oh my Lord. Please, people, be careful out there. If y'all see me driving, I drive in like a granny. Just let me be on my way. I'm not speeding. I'm not drinking and driving. I'm not doing anything on the phone because this is crazy season. Wow. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Several angles of that one. That car, those cars are mashed up. So somebody was coming from a side road? How did this happen? I'm confused. No, sir. And then they had, so somebody said they tried ordering turtle, but they're saying one per person, one per family. Child, we need to work it out now. Somebody need to give me your share turtle. I'll give you a plate from it. How about that? All right. So there was that accident. And then there was the one up, wow. Yeah, and I mean, this one, we got the video from the spots one right by the beach. I mean, I reckon, I don't know if somebody was coming out of a side road or what happened there, but whoa, kaboom. Jesus peace, Lord have mercy. All right, let me show you this video. People are having to maneuver the road like there's debris all over the roadway. Look at the video. Let me show all this one. Oh my gosh. Look here. Look at this. Ay. I don't understand how this even happened. Where was that person coming from? Did they cross over into the other lane? I don't know. I'm confused. Well, police are now on the scene. I'm hoping they have it cleared by the time I gotta go to my little meeting, honey child. Wow. Lordy. Cayman drivers, boy, may not know what to say. What a hot mess. Damien says nationality of drivers. I have no clue. Strong Will says, I wonder if it was a Jamaican driving this time. Just make it more difficult and costing the country more money because of selfish and reckless driving. Yeah, because we all pay for that. If you think that we don't pay for that, my goodness, that is a insurance increase right there for everybody. 900, almost 900 accidents a week. Or was it over 900? My goodness. All right, which EastEnder advised you to cook Cayman-style beef in the oven, Gail, on the stove? Slow cooked for hours until tender. Well, I'm going to keep doing it how I know it works. Darlene says a big time. Old Caymanian cook can't get turtle meat for Christmas. That's not right. Something wrong with that turtle meat or traditional dish. Oh my gosh. Well, that might mean no turtle for Christmas. Could I buy it from some of y'all who have it already? Would you be willing to part with your turtle? I know if the price is right, you're like, Sandy, if the price is right, I'll part with anything. You can have my kids while you're at it. Oh my goodness. No frozen mop. Oh my good gracious God. That man, Fred McLaughlin, what a crook. You can imagine giving some old man a mop head, frozen mop head, talking about that's turtle meat until the man start cooking it. Well, when you taste my beef, then you can see what you think. All right, we getting country and western to cater for her family. This person says you can call them and see if they can assist. Kind of late though. We book all this stuff from September, October last year, or each year. Sorry. All right. Let me see what else we got here. Yes, honey chill. All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up for today. Y'all try to be good on the roadway. There was another bad accident last night up by Black Urchin. That one looked pretty bad. They actually had the road closed for a minute. Thankfully, there were no fatalities. Thank God. Just another bad accident. Another couple cars ruined. All these cars are going where? The dump? Whew. What a hot mess. All right, let me just see what else. I think that's all we got for you today. Thanks again to Mr. Wesley Howell for coming on the program. If you can't get turtle cooked chicken, what? Because they taste the same? What? Okay. I need some conch, but I think I need to check my connection to see if she got the conch for me so that I can get some marinated conch done. Ooh, child, all this talk about food making me hungry. My belly's like, ooh, we ready for Christmas lunch. All right, honey, chillin'. Please be good. Again, congratulations to the Crooks family. Both Jordan and Jillian did amazing. Of course, Jordan has set some new world records. So incredibly proud of him. Gold medalist, honey child. Y'all take that. And lovely young man, lovely family. Mom, thanks as well to you and your husband and all the extended family and friends who have supported this dynamic duo, who have really made it possible for them to focus. Shaka says, can you close out the program by showing the Jordan interview? All right, hold on. Let me see now. I think I can pull that up here. All right, let me see. Do you want that whole live stream? Let me see here, honey chill. We had to do multiple ones, so let me just pull up the particular one now that had the interview in it. Let me see. All right, trending. It's trending well. I can see lots of video views. So one has 36,000 views. Next one has 36.8 thousand. I think this is the one where we interviewed him. Yes. All right. So I'll fast forward it to, and there's proud grandpa. I didn't know that was grandpa. I saw the little old man there and I was thinking to myself, oh, he looks so sweet. Who's this gentleman? And he, at one point I got to talk to him when we were in the regular section of the airport. And he says, I'm the proud grandpa. And I said, oh my gosh, you must be so proud. All right. So hold on. Let me just pull in the, let me stop the screen share and then I'll pull this one in. Screen share. We're going to share this one here. Yes. All right. So yes, congratulations again. Thanks Shaka for the suggestion. And yeah, grandpa must be so proud. Oh my gosh. So do you guys want to see it from the very beginning? Look at how, oh my gosh, they're such power athletes. Look at the legs on both of them. Amazing. So shall we rewind it up to there, or you want it to just fast forward to the part where we actually spoke to him in the airport? Let me not show that American plane because y'all get upset. Let's go a little bit further ahead. So this is when we were going into the VIP lounge, and there he is with grandpa. Let's start it like about there with grandpa. Yes. So there he is. And you know, people asking him about the medals. Those medals here in just a second, folks. Yeah. Stay tuned. Thank you guys so much for all the love and support. So he broke actually 2 world records, Miss Maggie. He swam the the 50 meter under 50 and under 20 is what I meant to say. First person to ever go under 20 seconds. Sorry, and then of course he also broke a previous record. So keep up with that stuff, Miss Maggie. Join the channel. We covered all that on Saturday and Sunday, and of course he took the gold medal. So fantastic. Yes, awesome. Yeah, sure. Take your time. So, by the way, Barbara was the only PPM member there, and she showed up wearing red. I wonder if that's a prerequisite that she's always got to wear red for official events. So there she is sitting in the corner with the Honorable Deputy Premier Kenneth Bryan. I know, right? Look at those legs. Yes, honey, chow. Muscles for days. Power athlete. I got to get Gianna in the pool. Good, how are you? Oh, fantastic. Yep, so we got a couple pictures of him with the medals. So beautiful. Wonderful. All right, folks, there he is. Yeah. Holding up his medals. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. You're welcome, Miss Maggie. Yes, it's a huge accomplishment. Thank you, Rolston. Fantastic. So proud, huh? All right, wonderful. Fantastic. Okay. All right. So we're going to start doing a 5-minute interview. Okay, awesome. Yeah. All right, so Radio Keyman was up first. There's Dion doing her little recorded interview bit. They do audio, obviously. We can fast forward it a little bit. All right. So the Compass was trying to jump in on us, and we were like, nope, we've been patiently waiting in line. So when they came forward, we're like, oh no, honey child, get in the back of the line. So let's just fast forward. Thank you very much. So thank you, Miss Sophia. Yeah. We are, yes. We're gonna be pretty quick, I think. Yeah. Awesome. Hi, Jordan. Good. Let me just adjust this just a tad. We're actually live. Just a couple really, really quick questions. First of all, congratulations. How are you feeling right now? Good. Thank you very much. Yeah. Awesome. So, you know, our listeners are ecstatic that you've made this accomplishment. Of course, the question is, what next? Like, what are you feeling is the next sort of, you know, thing that you want to actually accomplish after this?
I think first up, just rest, recover, spend time with family, get the mind and the body right, and then I try not to stay too caught up in the success for too long. You know, records are made to be broken, so who knows? Maybe it'll be a record for who knows how long. But next up is just second semester of my senior year of college, so it'll be my last season competing in college, and that'll be it for me in college domain, and we'll see where it goes from there. Yeah.
So one of our listeners had a question about how your teammates on the team there at Tennessee, have they reached out to you, and kind of what's the general sentiment from them?
Very good support from Tennessee. The coaches are great. The teammates are great. I mean, all the guys that I train with every day up in Tennessee, they're some of the first guys to text me congratulations after a race. And, they're, at home watching on TV, they're recording the screen, sending me videos. And it's really good to have that to fall back on as well. Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. One final question. Lots of young people obviously look up to you. This is just an amazing accomplishment. What do you say if a young person goes, you know what, I want to be the next Jordan? What advice would you give them?
Don't be me. I think, don't try to follow. I mean, it's good to use people for inspiration, but don't try to do what they did. Try to chart your own path. And a lot of times there are people that can function off of talent and that can, just magically do wonderful things in sports, but that's not the case for most of us. A lot of us have to work really hard for it. So if you're doing the hard work and you're putting in the effort, it will eventually come. Who knows when, but it will work out for you eventually. And it's hard work that gets these things, not just hopes and prayers, and they help, but you have to work hard for it if you want for it. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. All right, folks, you heard it. He said, be yourself, be unique, be you. And it's fantastic. All right, folks, and also made mention of hard work being incredibly important. So, he said that's the key. He doesn't want to make young people think erroneously that it just happens because you sit down and you pray for it or whatever. It really is about putting in the hard work. So big shout out to, I'm going to pull up some additional things here from local talent that we're going to end the show with. Let me just see if I can get the Swanky song. So big shout out to Swanky Band. They have actually done a song which is now trending, because of this amazing accomplishment. So let's hear a bit of that. Jordan, bring it home, boy. Jordan, bring it home. When you talk, okay, my pride. Jordan, bring it home. Jordan, bring it home. Jordan, bring it home. Jordan, when you talk, okay, my pride. Jordan, bring it home. Jordan, bring it home. Jordan, bring it home. When you talk, okay, my pride. Jordan, bring it home. Yeah, we need a full song there. Yeah, amazing chorus. Big shout out to Frankie. And of course, in the spirit of the season, I love Benil Miller. Benil is always doing amazing renditions of song. This young man is so incredibly talented. I cannot tell you the immense musical talent that he has. I need to get him to teach Gianna how to play a couple instruments, including the keyboard. I was talking to her yesterday and I said, honey, you got to start taking some music lessons here shortly. And she's like, what's my favorite instrument? And I said, I love all instruments. So I don't care which one you play, but the keyboard and the piano are beautiful, but you can play the flute. You can play anything you want because music is life. And Benil, I think, plays at least a few instruments. I think he does stuff. I want to say he does some drums, but definitely keyboard and guitar, maybe bass guitar. But this man sings. He is original with a lot of his content. Just so amazing and so talented. So please enjoy this song and have a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday.
Have Rambo and Lucky and Susie and Sheila. You have Sanka and Bruno and Blackie and Zena. But do you recall the most famous mongrel of all? Rudolph the red-nosed mongrel had a very shiny nose. And if you ever saw it, you would even say it glows. All of the other dogs, them used to laugh and call him names. They never let poor Rudolph join in any of their games. Then one sunny Christmas Eve, Santa came to say, Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you guide my sleigh tonight? Then all the dogs, them loved him, and they shouted out with glee, Rudolph the red-nosed mongrel, you'll go down in history.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels. And visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.